Okay, guys, it's been far too long since I did a stream, so I wanted to fire it up today. And we got a few things to talk about. We have a few things to talk about. First of which, Hassan Piker was detained by the American Gestapo. So that is a development that we should be keeping an eye on. Like, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. You look up Hassan Piker detained by ICE. Hassan Piker detained. And this has made it into the real news. Says he was detained at airport. Twitch star Hasanabi says he was detained, questioned by border agents. I mean, this is basically an American celebrity being outspoken against the president, being face to face with that president's fascist power, being like having a run-in with the actual thugs that enforce that president's power. So let's take a look at, like, we'll listen to some of the Hasan video, but let's take a look at The Guardian, because I'm curious to see these articles. Hassan Piker, U.S.-born progressive political commentator, said he was stopped by U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents in question about his opinions of Donald Trump and Israeli war policy as he returned to the country on Sunday from France. Piker, recounting the incident on his Twitch livestream on Monday, said he was led to a private room at Chicago O'Hare Airport and interviewed for nearly 2 hours about his political views. The goal here is to put fear into people's hearts to have a chilling effect on speech that, like the government, is unafraid of intimidating you. Does this stop me from saying whatever the fuck I want to say? Of course not. Is there going to be any analysis on this at all? Piker said neither his phone nor laptop were searched. Chip Gibbons, the policy director of Defending Rights and Dissent, said in a statement, "We are deeply disturbed that CBP is stopping political commentators at the border to interrogate them about First Amendment protected activities. Such an abuse of power is an affront to press freedom." Alex Peter, an attorney and popular online creator who shares content about the American judicial system, wrote, "DHS flagging and detaining one of the U.S.'s largest left-wing voices for the political opinions, while the Trump admin suggests they might suspend habeas corpus, does not portend well for the future." Yeah, that's an understatement. So, like, really, Democrats aren't going to be speaking up about this. It's actually, even though Democratic senators are, like, Democratic Congress people are going to, they're going to be next. Really, we're going to see this Customs and Border Patrol just expand and expand, arresting more American citizens, arresting political opponents, and, like, as I said, this is only the beginning. The administration is testing out searching phones at airports now, though. Yeah, I think they've been. Yeah, you're right. Nice to see you, Sam. Internationals are advised to travel with burner phones. Yeah, that's what I heard Hasan say too. Travel with a burner phone. I think that's definitely something that you should consider doing. Like, me personally, obviously I don't have a big channel, but I don't want to travel at all. And yeah, they've been searching people's phones for a while now. You had the Newark mayor getting arrested by ICE. Arrested. Body cam. They're talking about traveling with burner phones. This is what I wanted to watch too. So when I say that Trump's Gestapo is just going to keep arresting political opponents, this is what I'm talking about. So this was the mayor of Newark arrested by ICE and basically a collection of different agencies that have all been deputized by Donald Trump to just go after people that are resisting him at all. And they released this body cam footage. I don't think we know where this guy is. Mayor Baraka. The entire program I'm in has a bunch of immigrants freaking out because they need to go home in between now and their PhD. Oh, Jesus, dude. Yeah, it's not a good time to be in America in general. Let's take a look at this. If you want to hop on a call, I'd be down too.
You have the nonsense. You have 20. This is the mayor of the largest city You are here on private property. On private property.
All right, this is the last. I'm not, man. Listen, this is the last warning.
Oh, hey, Congresswoman. Let's show some respect. Show some respect.
Called her man.
You have no respect.
Listen,
What does it mean?
Congressmen are different. Congresswomen are different. Mr. Mayor, anyone that is not a congresswoman or man.
So before we get in this, look at this article. Ross Baraka arrested. Trump administration eyes charging 3 more New Jersey Democrats in ICE fracas. House Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, Rob Menendez, and LaMonica McIver dispute DHS's characterization of the incident. So how do they characterize the incident? We actually have body camera footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting these ICE enforcement officers, including body slamming a female ICE officer. McLaughlin said even his name betrays how unserious this is. Okay, let's take a look at this. So this is a few members of Congress body slamming a female ICE officer.
It's the last warning. You will be placed on arrest.
You let him in, you piece of shit. He's the mayor. Let him in.
So they let in the mayor, and then they're like, "You're trespassing. We're gonna place you under arrest."
Don't rush in. Don't rush in. Don't, please.
We got a gate. Back up.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Shame on you people.
They're saying that because he was on this side, that
Is this the female ICE agent that gets body? I just want to see some WWE style action. Is there other stuff? She later tweeted a video of the chaotic incident. So I need to look up who's McLaughlin? Trisha McLaughlin. We need to look her up on Twitter. Trisha McLaughlin. Okay. Mayor Baraka got her with the people's elbow from the top rope. Ras Baraka. I mean, he is named after a Mortal Kombat character. So, okay, here we go. Under the leadership of POTUS, Trump, and Secretary Noem, yeah, great nonviolent people. Meanwhile, sanctuary politicians fight for the release of gang members. What? Okay, so that's just an interview that she did. Where is the body slamming? Oh, here we go. Body slamming, body ramming. Watch at DHS Gov vows to drop the hammer. Is that his finishing move? Torches Democrats over ICE, body slamming, body ramming. Saying call it... Oh, wait. Body ramming is way different than body slamming. Like, I'm not a huge fan of WWE, but I know that much.
Body slamming, body ramming, a striking...
She's gonna write like a Dr. Seuss book for ICE agents. Body slamming, body ramming. In a mosh pit, we're all body cramming.
An officer, pushing, shoving, whatever you want to call it, it sure looks like assault. It's pathetic, and we won't stand for this in this administration. We're not playing games with the safety of our law enforcement.
Bro, you literally released people that assaulted cops on like day 1 when Trump got into office. And now you're going to play the people are body slamming law enforcement and we need to arrest them crowd. Okay, so just once again, the article, like, listen guys, Hassan, let's just be honest, he kind of fits the MO of the Trump regimes who they've been targeting. He is, we go back to that Arab tier list, he is Arab coded. We go back to the tier list, he is Arab coded. If Frogan did rank him like level A, I think it was, or whatever, top rank. His name is Hasan. He's a leftist. He speaks out against Israel, and people can say that he's a foreigner, right? Even though he's not, even though he's literally an American citizen and he was born in America. But when they're arresting actual judges, when they're arresting actual Democratic politicians, and now they're trying to get like Congress people, you shouldn't be surprised when Hasan gets detained at the airport. Like, that should be extremely expected. And obviously, it's a horrible thing, and it is just another hallmark of the fascist state that we've descended so quickly into. But I mean, I'm just glad Hasan got out of there, got out of detention. And yeah, if you are not an American citizen and you speak out at all about like online or even not online, even if you like write letters or you participate in institutions that are nominally against Republicans, like as Samek was saying, universities or any kind of like research or medical that does research, and the government would, or the Republicans won't want to fund that, like, you're a target for that shit too. Basically, it's at this moment, if you're not with Trump, you're against Trump, and he's going to be treating people like enemies of the state if you're not completely with him 100%. I mean, they've already talked about wanting to arrest AOC because she's simply reading immigrants their rights. And now they're trying to go, they literally went after Hasan just for his speech that he did, which is completely protected under the First Amendment. Yeah, it is genuinely scary. Okay, we got to go back to this though, because we need some moments of levity, and I will never get tired of the party of, like, let's not say that masculinity is toxic, and complaining about people, like calling them snowflakes and saying that they're melting over any kind of pressure. I will never get tired of them crying when someone gets pushed and they're like, I was body slammed, I was body rammed, there was pushing, there was shoving. Like, I will never get tired of Republicans being the biggest snowflakes in the world. So we need to see this when, like, the Chad Mayor Baraka makes all of these ICE agents feel uncomfortable. Excuse me, you're in my safe space right now. This is a detention facility. I can't have anyone looking at it because this is, like, you are not welcome here. I don't consent to you being here.
This is the mayor of the largest city. You are here on private property. On private property.
All right, this is the last. I'm not Ken. Listen, this is the last warning.
Oh, hey, Congresswoman. Let's show some respect. Show some respect.
Called her man.
You have no respect.
Listen,
What does it mean?
Congressmen are different. Congresswomen are different. Mr. Mayor, anyone that is not a congresswoman or man, step out. It's the last warning. You will be placed under arrest.
You let him in, you piece of shit!
He's the mayor. Let him in.
By the way, I love so much this response from the community, because I know that it's kind of a meme in leftist circles to say, like, get to know your neighbors. But seriously, now more than ever, you should be getting to know your neighbors, know who you can rely upon. Even if it's not like your physical neighbors, go onto like local group chats and see if there's groups that you can text and you can be in contact with that can rapidly respond to situations like this, where if there is like an ICE group trying to separate a family, trying to pull a kid out of school, it's super important that people are there to witness that, to document it, and to protest against that, because protesting does work. These ICE agents are just regular people, and they don't like any kind of scrutiny. At the end of the day, these people are massive cowards, and they are bullies. And so even if it's just people standing there chanting at them, that is pressure that makes them uncomfortable in their job of being a fascist Gestapo, blackbagging people. So any kind of pressure, no matter how small, is a super important thing to do. And yeah, get to know your neighbors and see if you can like find any kind of common cause with people in your area to push against this. Walmart radio.
No, please.
Clear the gate. Back up.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Shame on you people.
They're saying that because he was on this side, that he should.
Where's my congresswoman? Where's my congresswoman? Don't touch us. Don't touch us. Don't touch us. All right. No. Don't touch us. This is not right.
All right, come on. Where's the body slam? Oh, wow. There's a lot of body there to slam. Surprised that vest is staying on him. Bubble zone laws. Vaughan passed it and Toronto Council is considered one early next month. I am not familiar with that. I do have family in Toronto, though. Maybe I'll ask them about that.
It's not right.
Bro, so they're literally going to arrest 3 congresspeople for basically getting in the way of ICE, like literally not even preventing ICE from arresting Ross Baraka, but from just standing there, and ICE is like, we want to be on the other side of you, here, move, and then they're trying to arrest them and say that they were body slamming them.
It's on the coat. It's on the coat. On the coat. Calm down. I'm not resisting. I know.
Keep all your goddamn hands off of me. Hell wrong with you? You ever put your hands on me? Hell wrong with you? Hell wrong with you? You better get your officer.
Oh, is that the ICE agent that got body rammed?
Bring your hands up for her.
Well, with him, he just assaulted me. Let's just walk on this. I am filing a complaint. All right. I am filing a complaint. Listen to me. I'm filing a complaint. You don't dare talk to a congresswoman like that, and you got her to put your hands on me. You will pay.
Okay, so the woman in red there, she was accused of body slamming. Let's take a look at this Guardian article. I just think this is so crazy, man. And at the end of the day, it really shows just how freaking cowardly these ICE officials, or not officials, these ICE thugs really are. I mean, arresting students, going into schools and arresting children when their parents aren't there. Just finding people minding their own business, rounding them up, claiming that they're all violent criminals that must be deported from this country. So Trump administration Homeland Security officials were responsible for starting the confrontation on Friday at a New Jersey immigration jail that led to the arrest of Newark's mayor, as well as threats to detain 3 members of Congress, the representative said on Sunday on CNN's State of the Union. The Democratic representatives, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, LaMonica McIver, that was the woman in the red jacket, you can see her right here, she's the one that was accused to being of body ramming by, what the hell is this woman's name? McLaughlin? Trisha McLaughlin? I don't even know who she is. Trisha McLaughlin is the one that accused her of body ramming. She's the DHS Gov. Okay. All of New Jersey visited the controversial Immigration and Customs Enforcement Detention Center known as Delaney Hall on Friday to inspect the facility. And I believe they were inspecting the facility because it had like a limit of the number of people that could be held there, and they were worried that they had exceeded that amount, and they wanted to make sure that the people that were being held there were being treated humanely. As they waited to enter Delaney Hall, Newark's mayor, Ross Baraka, arrived, and as he left the property, he was arrested outside by ICE officials accusing him of trespassing, leading to a commotion at the entrance of the jail. And I love how Republicans will compare this to January 6th. They will either deny or defend January 6th until the cows come home. But as soon as it's any kind of students doing like a civil sit-in, or it's Democratic politicians trying to inspect something, trying to inspect a building that they're like, are there human rights violations occurring inside this building? And then they cry foul about respecting property rights. Yeah, it actually is extremely scary. And the scariest thing, okay, so we'll continue this, but I just have to say, like, midterms are coming up, and I haven't seen evidence yet that the Republicans have really put in place laws to outright steal elections. I mean, they've been gerrymandering, and they've been doing vote. What is it called? It's like they're like challenging votes. It's vote vigilantism, where basically they have people that challenge like hundreds of thousands of votes, and they get majority black and lower income votes thrown out on just random things. And that probably cost Kamala Harris the election. So they've been doing that, but that's been being done for decades, like gerrymandering, making it more difficult to vote, challenging people's votes once they actually have voted. That's been going on forever. Misinformation, that's been going on forever. I haven't seen evidence that we've entered a new era where we're just like outright denying election results. At least people, not the presidential elections with Donald Trump. And like we've seen some Trump style Republicans denying the fact that they've lost, but really we haven't seen any like courts affirming that at all. And actually the courts have disaffirmed that at every step of the way. So in the midterms, the Democrats should be able to take over the House. They should be able to take over the Senate. But like the really scary thing to me is there seems to be no energy among the Democrats that are trying to push back against this fascism at all. Like, where are the Democrats coming up with a Project 2026 or Project 2027 where they're going to try to impeach Trump and arrest all of the people that have been violating countless court orders, that have been knowingly breaking laws, and then saying, well, challenge me in the courts then? Where are all of the plans to rebuild what Trump has destroyed and go further so that we get out of this like neoliberal hellhole that America has been in for the past like 20 years and actually address people's concerns, which led to the election of Donald Trump? There is no energy for that whatsoever. And that's the scariest thing to me. The scariest thing to me is Trump loses the election in 2028, Republicans lose the midterms in 2026, and nothing changes. The Democrats make some things marginally better, but we've lost so many rights. Gay people have been marginalized so hard. Trans people have been marginalized so hard. Immigrants have been completely just spat upon by this country. America has lost so much standing on the world stage. I mean, that doesn't really matter, but obviously if you want your standard of living to increase, then America should continue USAID where it does help people, and we should try to rebuild those supply lines to help fight AIDS or help fight famines. And I'm just worried that none of that is going to change, and we're just going to slide deeper and deeper into fascism. It's going to be like one step forward, 3 steps back for the next 3 or 4 election cycles, because I don't see any kind of energy other than people like AOC, Bernie Sanders, and Tim Walz. All of the other, and then there's like a few other Congress people, like Jasmine Crockett and Maxwell Frost, but all of the other Democrats, all of the ones that actually hold the reins of power, are completely resistant to that. Like, you see Alyssa Slotkin, who is getting groomed by Chuck Schumer for leadership, basically taking a stand against what Bernie Sanders is doing, taking a stand against what AOC is doing. And it's a really dystopian setting right now. As a Canadian, I've never wanted to cut the tumor known as America off the butt cheek out of our nation. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't blame you for that. Okay. So let's play this video. It's a different angle. So I think that this is Baraka here in the hat. And these must be the other Congress people. Yeah, so I had to get the police to come in and help them arrest because I guess they were too incapable. They're like, we have like a 5-to-1. We outnumber them 5-to-1, but we're not going to be comfortable unless we outnumber them like 10-to-1. So they drag him inside. Nice, call him out to their face. Like the fact that there's no Congress people or any Democrats with any kind of taste of power calling for the abolishment of ICE is honestly a travesty. Like, there's barely any Democrats that have your back, and the people that are ostensibly like the core Democrats, they hate you. Chuck Schumer hates you. He hates you for being riled up and being mad at him for allowing Trump's standard continuing resolution bill to go through. He hates that. He hates you. Alyssa Slotkin hates you for standing up to oligarchy. Hakeem Jeffries hates you for trying to he hates you for being mad at he hates you for being mad at Silicon Valley for controlling the media and having a monopoly. Like, and obviously, I'm never going to say the Democrats are worse than Republicans, but there is a large part of the Democratic Party that is 100% fine with what the Republicans are doing, at least as they'd rather have the Republicans do what they're doing than go along with Bernie Sanders and AOC and actually have leftist values attacking corporations and attacking their donors. Basically, it's like the AIPAC wing of the Democratic Party. If you do, they act like you're If you do, they act like you're radical. So, so this is something that I've kind of wanted to talk about for a while. This is John Fetterman. So John Fetterman has been going through it. He's been having a rough time. Dems hold meetings as fears for Fetterman's health grow.
Yeah, no one's ever seen that. It's a one source story. with a couple anonymous sources. Hit piece
It's a one-source story with multiple sources.
from a very left publication. There's really nothing more to say about that.
He said he was worried that you're not taking your medications. Are you taking your medications, sir?
Again, the hit piece, anonymous source.
What? It's a one-source story with multiple sources. I feel like that sums up John Fetterman's situation for a while. So this man ran as a progressive. He famously said that he's like completely pro-immigration, and then he turned around and didn't. I think he voted for the Lake and Riley Act, which, you know, completely strips away immigrants. It strips away undocumented immigrants of all of the rights of due process. If you're accused of a crime, then you can be deported, rather than actually going through due process. And I've never understood that. If there is someone that isn't a citizen in this country that does a crime, why would we deport them? Why not just try them for the crime that they did? It seems like that's a better way to get justice than to just be like, okay, well, I mean, you have some shady things around you. We're just going to get rid of you and wash our hands of this situation. Seems kind of like taking the easy way out and having a miscarriage of justice. Anyway, so what do we got here? Senate Democrats are plotting an intervention for Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman amid concerns for his health and a reported mental decline, which he denies, according to The Hill. The publication cited 3 anonymous Democratic senators who said they and their colleagues are trying to come up with a plan to help Fetterman, whose mental state is under a microscope after an explosive New York Magazine article raised questions about his increasingly erratic behavior. Every time I see him, I'm worried about him, one of the sources candidly admitted, citing the story, which Fetterman himself regarded as a hit piece. I know we're all in touch with each other, having conversations about how to intervene. I haven't heard anybody say they're not worried about it. The lawmaker went on to say, people are trying to figure out what to do. People are worried about his safety. A second senator said the talks are coming from a place of friendship. They've been more like, we're friends, that we can do as friends to provide some support. We're friends. Oh, what we can do. What can we do? I worry about that, and that means as friends, we need to step up. A third senator expressed concern about Fetterman's well-being. Bro, oh God, politicians are so cooked. He's a literal senator. He's one of the most powerful people in the world. And you're going to be like, well, I know you're not taking your meds and you're saying and doing completely insane shit. I'm not going to like come at that from a point of responsibility. I'm just worried about you as a friend. Come on, buddy. Like, can I coax you into taking? Why don't we like go play some golf, or we'll play video games in my mom's basement if you take your medication? Dude, he's a fucking senator. That should be his duty, to take medications that is going to make him better and make him function as a human being. Okay, let's take a look at what this is.
Well, my reaction is it's a one source hit piece, and it involved maybe 2 or 3 anonymous disgruntled staffers saying just absolute false things.
Have you been keeping up with that, taking your medication?
Man, I want to, my doctors are like, John is great, and I am on all of the plan that it's always been, and it's incredibly invasive. And why are people talking about anyone's personal medical things?
So you've only been treated for depression, not for being bipolar?
No, I haven't. But I've been very front and center about with depression. Absolutely, none of these other things. And it's like, so someone that was trying to accumulate my medical records and leak those things. That's part of this weird grudge for this hit piece.
You fully plan to serve your full term here in the Senate?
Come on, of course. That's obviously. Everybody understands I was treated for depression.
Yeah. He did say it was too early to say whether he would run for re-election.
Okay, so it's not his depression that is making people concerned about him. It's the fact that he's not taking his medication. It's the fact that he's like behaving extremely erratically because he's not taking his medication. So like they included here. In the New York Magazine piece published earlier this month, members of Fetterman's staff said they avoided working directly with the 55-year-old senator because he was prone to mood swings and paranoia. The article describes high-risk behavior, including reckless driving, fights with his wife, Giselle Barreto Fetterman, and aides his concerns that the senator wasn't going to medical appointments or taking his medication. Yeah, he's like, I'm just a small bean senator. Why are people concerned about my mental health? Well, they elected you to represent them, and you're one of the most powerful people in the world. I think that people have a right to scrutinize your mental health. So I do also like how he's like, it's just a one source. It's an anonymous source. It's like, dude, it's your wife. It's your aides. They're not anonymous or a single source. I also just have to throw this legendary picture up here. Every time I see John Fetterman, I just think of like a kid wearing like a tablecloth around his shoulders and running around with his cape billowing in the wind behind him. Then there's also this funny thing. So, man, unlock the Daily Beast. Come on. Yelling Fetterman left staffer in tears with desk slamming outbursts. Maybe we can find a different source from this. New York Magazine. See the Newsweek. A tense meeting last week between Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman and a delegation from a teachers' union ended with one of his staffers in tears, according to the AP news agency, escalating growing concerns over the Democratic lawmaker's mental health and behavior just 3 years after suffering a life-threatening stroke. Why it matters. This episode comes amid broader scrutiny of the Pennsylvania Democrats' mental and emotional health, including recent public allegations from his former chief of staff, Adam Gentleson, who described the senator's conduct in 2024 letter to Walter Reed neuropsychiatrist as on a bad trajectory. Fetterman had a stroke in 2022 and checked himself into Walter Reed Hospital for treatment for clinical depression in 2023. He's been widely praised for his openness about mental health issues, but recent developments are raising questions within his party as he enters the third year of his Senate term. Fetterman is among the few Democrats in Congress who's openly met with President Donald Trump since the 2024 election, drawing rebukes from progressives in his home state. Though his populist brand once endeared him to the left, his recent alignment on issues like Israel and his distancing from party orthodoxy have added to speculation about his political direction and personal well-being. So this is the meeting. He was going to meet representatives, education representatives, but his demeanor quickly unraveled, citing individuals briefed on the meeting. The senator reportedly began shouting, repeating himself, and slammed his hands on a desk while asking, "Why does everyone hate me? What did I ever do?" That's a good image. Small bean senator with a big mouth. Why does everyone hate me? What did I ever do? One staff member ultimately cut the meeting short and escorted the union visitors out, and then broke down crying in the hallway. The union representatives reportedly comforted the staffer. When asked about the meeting, Fetterman issued a statement through his office to the AP, describing it as a spirited conversation about our collective frustration with the Trump administration's cuts to our education system. Okay, he added, "I will always support our teachers, and I will always reject anyone's attempts to turn Pennsylvania's public schools into a voucher program." The events described by the AP came just one day before New York Magazine's Intelligencer published a detailed account of staff concerns about Fetterman's mental health. In the story, Gentleson warned in a letter that the senator had stopped attending medical appointments, pushed away those responsible for helping manage his health, and might have discontinued prescribed medications. He also alleged reckless behavior, including texting and video calling while driving at high speeds. Okay. It's like, it's not even just the bad, like, you can't just have the bad behavior. It's the absolutely atrocious politics as well. Whereas, like, literally meeting with Donald Trump, he's gone completely fascist on Israel, completely genocidal, saying that, like, you need to kill all of the Gazans. You gotta kill them all. And then basically he's like, oh, I was just talking about Hamas. Okay. When you say you gotta kill them all, yeah, I'm sure you were just talking about Hamas. New York Magazine has also reported that Fetterman's wife, Giselle, had refused to speak with him until he underwent required blood work, which she eventually did, but only after missing earlier appointments. Other aides described episodes of seclusion, mood swings, and erratic social media behavior, despite star efforts to manage his online presence. I mean, you're in it teachers union meeting with the reps of the teachers union of Pennsylvania, and like, it's the most dry thing you could possibly do as a senator, and you don't have a wrap on your mental faculties enough to stick it out for that like 2 hour long meeting, and it devolves into you slamming the desk and chanting like, why does everyone hate me, to the point where your staffer breaks down in tears. Like, dude, you are completely losing it. The Pennsylvania senator dismissed the Intelligencer report as a one-source hit piece, which, it's so funny. Like, he literally says it's one-source hit piece. There's multiple anonymous sources, and told CNN's Manu Raju it involved maybe 2 or 3 anonymous disgruntled staffers saying just absolutely false things. He was elected a senator, what people are saying. So the chair of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party told the AP, people are concerned about his health. They want to make sure he's okay. People care about him. There's also a lot of love for him out there. I mean, once again, dude, the fact that they're ignoring his politics of sidling up to Trump, being atrocious on immigration, being literally genocidal on the issue of Gaza, and they're focusing on the health, is another example of Democrats being absolutely spineless and incapable of doing anything to resist against what Donald Trump is doing. The Fetterman story is troubling. This is an MSNBC contributor, not just because of the chaotic staff allegations, but because someone clearly still struggling with their mental health shouldn't be in such a high-stakes role. The only solution is political. Fetterman should resign. Well, at least this MSNBC contributor is calling for him to resign. That's more than any Democrat's going to do. We just care about him as a friend. We just want to make sure he's in a good place because we're such good buddies with him. No, you're not. If you say John Fetterman is your friend, you're literally lying. Like, that's not believable at all. A despicable hit piece on John Fetterman. I wish I was surprised anyone would publish an obvious vendetta re a man's medical journey. This is Kirsten Cinema. Yeah, of course she's sticking up for Fetterman. Okay. Last little bit on John Fetterman. I think this is so funny. So I'm looking up John Fetterman, and then we get treated to this gem. This is from the Wall Street Journal. It's an opinion piece by James Kirchick. We have to look this guy up later. The smearing of John Fetterman. The senator turns out to be rather moderate, so the left claims he is mentally unfit. What is this?
We are watching as our neighbors, students, and
is this going to be about Fetterman?
Is doing.
No. Okay. We need to look this up. Fetterman. This is according to The Hill. Fetterman, Trump Gaza idea provocative, but part of the conversation. Just keep in mind, Donald Trump is calling for the complete ethnic cleansing and colonization of the Gaza Strip. He has removed sanctions on illegal West Bank terrorist settlers that are supported by Israel and backed up by the IDF. And Senator John Fetterman says that this is part of the conversation. It's a little provocative, but it's part of the conversation. What the fuck? Senator John Fetterman said President Trump's idea to take over the Gaza Strip is provocative, but it's part of the conversation. And this is him being reasonable. According to Fetterman, this is him being reasonable. This is not something that he has to back up and explain away. This isn't him saying that there is no innocent people in Gaza or they need to kill everyone in Gaza. That's not him saying that, which he has said in the past. This is his policy position. Fetterman, who has been a staunch ally of Israel, I mean, he's literally like sleeps in the Israel flag in its war against the Palestinian militant group Hamas. I mean, this is just so fucking bullshit. Whatever. Appeared to be open to considering the plan when speaking with Jewish. Like, bro, how the fuck can you say? I'm sorry. This is distracting me. How can you say it's a war against Hamas when they're literally ethnically cleansing Gaza right now? They're not saying, oh, just stay in your houses and like we're going to help set up a provisional government and it's going to transition into you having independence and we're going to like occupy you, but just so Hamas doesn't come back. But you guys can just chill out there and Like, we'll work with your local leaders. No, dude, they're ethnically cleansing. Like, they're literally relocating all of the Palestinians left in Gaza right now as we speak. And you're saying it's a war on Hamas? That's insane to do. It's a provocative part of the conversation. Let me see if I can do a Fetterman. It's a provocative part of the conversation. That's like RFK. But it's part of the conversation, and that's where we are, Fetterman said. The Palestinians have refused, or they've been unwilling to deliver a government that provided security and economic development for themselves. Like, I don't have to explain how genocidal this is, but I love how people that defend the IDF and are in favor of Israel's genocide blame Palestinians for getting blown up. They're like, Hamas didn't do a good enough job providing security for themselves. Well, bro, it's Israel is backed by the United fucking States. Like, what are they supposed to do? Get nukes and just blow up Israel and the US? How are they supposed to defend? It's impossible to defend themselves. They allowed October 7th to occur, and now Gaza has to be rebuilt, he continued, referring to the... Okay, we know what he's referring to. Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu on Tuesday. So anyway, he's like, this is part of... I mean, he supports the genocide. What else do I have to say? So, what do we... That's a little Nixon. So I just love this smearing of John Fetterman. He turns out to be rather moderate. So the left claims he's mentally unfit. Yeah, it has nothing to do with his politics. Like, we can separate the politics from that mental illness. I do think that people that are Republican have mental illness, but we can separate that. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's like slamming a table during a teachers union meeting. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's not taking his meds or refusing to visit his doctors. No, it has to do with the fact that he's like met with Donald Trump one time, and so now the left is saying he's mentally unfit. No, dude, the left hates his politics and they think he's mentally unfit. And it's also not the left that says he's mentally unfit. It's all of the Democrats. Like, the Democrats aren't targeting his politics. They're just targeting his mental state. Okay. Adam Gentleson sent an email to the medical director of the Traumatic Brain Injury and Neuropsychiatry Unit at Walter Reed Hospital in May 2024. Senator John Fetterman, for whom Mentor Gentleson was chief of staff, had been released from the facility in May, following 6 weeks of inpatient care for what his doctors diagnosed as clinical depression. A year earlier, in May 2022, Mr. Fetterman had suffered a stroke while running for the Senate seat he eventually won. Otherwise, it had been a difficult 2 years for the Pennsylvania Democrat, who had become known for flouting the state dress code as much as for his policy positions. Mr. Gentleson, according to a report in New York Magazine, was once proud of his boss for seeking professional help. He later became so alarmed by Mr. Fetterman's behavior that he quit his job. According to the 1,600-word email Mr. Gentleson sent to Mr. Fetterman's doctor, the senator was suffering from conspiratorial thinking and megalomania while experiencing high highs and low lows. In long ramblings, repetitive, and self-centered monologues, Mr. Fetterman was lying in ways that are painfully, awkwardly obvious to everyone in the room. Mr. Gentleson also said the senator was preoccupied with Twitter and driving recklessly. Some of these symptoms sound like the job description of a U.S. senator. What? Some of the symptoms sound like the job description of a U.S. senator? They're just saying that senators have to lie in ways that are painfully and awkwardly obvious to everyone in the room? That's their defense? Oh, well, all senators lie. Revealingly, in a story that cites to be a bevy of ex-staffers, all anonymously, expressing their alarm about how the mental state of their former boss, writer Ben Terrace reserves his own judgment until the end. I didn't find any indication that the stroke had left him cognitively impaired, he writes. So what is this 7,000-word work of breathless journalism really about? Mr. Fetterman does indeed suffer from debilitating illness, sudden onset political moderation. What? You can't just like hand wave away the actual mental illness that he has. Like, he was literally in the hospital for 6 weeks for depression. And now you're saying that, oh, he has sudden onset political moderation? Well, maybe if you have a sudden change in your political outlooks and your political prescriptions, that could be due to something. And maybe that was due to him suffering a stroke and undergoing depression for years. Like, maybe that's a reason why he had a sudden change in his politics. The first indication appeared on October 2023, when he repudiated demands that Israel desist from responding militarily to the largest mass murder of Jews since the Holocaust. We must support Israel in efforts to eliminate the Hamas terrorists who slaughtered innocent men, women, and children, Mr. Fetterman tweeted. We must support Israel in efforts to eliminate the Hamas terrorists. According to Mr. Terrace, the steadfast support for the Jewish state surprised Mr. Fetterman's progressive base. I mean, there's another way to write that. The steadfast support for the fascist state surprised his progressive base. Oh no, Bill Maher. Further symptoms manifested. Bro, who wrote this? Like, this is actually insane. I was going to save this to the end, but James Kirchick. Who the fuck is this guy? James Kirchick. Wow. Wait, I think I've seen this guy before. How to Fix Democracy, Season 5. Oh, he's going to tell us how to fix democracy. That's going to be good. Okay, dude, we're going down a rabbit hole, but I actually really want to see this. We'll just get a taste.
Back to focusing on the last 100 Kirchick. Is an authority.
Maybe I haven't seen him before. He looks familiar.
American democracy, but the history of American democracy in Washington, D.C. when it comes to gender and sexuality. Jamie, welcome to How to Fix Democracy.
Thanks for
Jamie.
Do you buy this narrative, Jamie, that in the beginning, not many people were included in this special club, this club of American democracy, and over the last 100 years, more and more people have been invited.
We've never had democracy. At the very best, we've had like a representative democracy. I mean, not really a true democracy. And we've never really had one person, one vote. I mean, women haven't been able to vote until recently. Like, black people haven't been able to vote. And women and black people have never had a time in American history where they've ever... Well, are they talking about America? I mean, I guess they're both British, but anyway, they've never had a time in American history where their votes haven't been under attack. So, yeah.
Tickets to participate?
I think generally that's true, and it hasn't been an entirely linear progression.
Okay, so he's American.
Along the way. But as far as gay people are concerned, it's really night and day when you look at what the situation was, the legal status for gay people, say 100 years ago. Gay people were, I mean, their existence was essentially illegal. Homosexuality was illegal. Sexual acts between people of the same sex were illegal in every state in the country. Homosexuality was considered a mental illness by the medical establishment, and gay people suffered all sorts of horrific medicalized tortures.
Yeah, now Republicans are doing their best to try to turn the country against gay people again. I mean, you can see the polls, and support for gay marriage among Republicans has dipped dramatically in like the past 3 or 4 years.
American democracy of the post-Second World War age, the democracy of the Cold War, as a straight democracy?
It was very much tied up with not only, I would say, traditional notions of heterosexuality, but also masculinity and patriarchy, frankly, right? I mean, there were extremely few women in any sorts of positions of authority. In fact, there were none, really, in this town until quite late in the 20th century. I mean, FDR was the first president to have a woman in his cabinet.
Okay, how do we fix American democracy?
Right issue, which is not to say that there weren't many gay conservatives.
Wait, when did this come out?
And I have a whole section in my book on the Reagan administration, and I write about the many gay people, mostly gay men, who were operating at very influential high levels of the Republican Party and the conservative movement during the Reagan era.
Let me revise the question, Jamie. You've talked about coming out of the closet. You've talked about gay identity as a taboo. When I asked you the question, I didn't necessarily mean were they going to vote right or left. But when gay people were voting, you've read a lot of the memoirs of people who are...
I wonder if this guy's like one of those people where like TERFs are like, oh, well, we can't have women's rights if we're advocating for trans rights. And I wonder if he's like, oh, we can't have like lesbian and gay rights if we're advocating for trans rights. I wonder if he's like one of these anti-trans, pro-LGB people.
Was there in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, was there a united front of African Americans, of feminists, of gay people fighting against the orthodoxies of the post-war age? Or was it more haphazard?
Bobby also referred to, I believe, James Baldwin as Martin Luther Queen. So he was a lot less enlightened on this issue than his brother John Kennedy, whose best friend was a gay man. Lem Billings, a friend from...
All right, honestly, like, it doesn't sound like they actually do a good job of fixing democracy. If you want to read his book, Secret City, The Hidden History of Gay Washington, opinion, John Fetterman. Let's see what his Twitter is. This is great content, I know, guys. I'm just like fascinated with this. This guy looks like he has cotton balls like in his cheeks. Oh yeah, here we go. One thing you will see a lot of at today's pro-Israel march, and not at all the pro-Hamas ones, American flags, and not at all at the pro-Hamas ones, American flags. Okay, yeah, so like that pretty much sums it up. He doesn't tweet that often, but he felt the need to tweet that there are pro-Hamas marches happening in America. I've never understood the alacrity of so many people to compare the plight of the Palestinians with African Americans. When black people were sent to the back of the bus, they boycotted it. They didn't blow it up. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so this guy's just a Zionist. Here at the March for Israel, nobody's covering their faces, destroying... Yeah, we're calling for genocide. Bro, what the fuck? Okay, well, we found his thing. He's gay and he's a Zionist. There we go. Insane that he has to, like, insane how he's backing up Fetterman here by completely hand-waving away all of the extremely valid concerns for Fetterman's mental health and just saying that he supports Israel, so now the left hates him because he supports a Jewish state. Further symptoms manifested. I'm not a progressive. Conflating Mr. Fetterman's political evolution with his allegedly declining mental health is extremely cynical in light of the debate that ensued after he suffered a stroke. Mr. Fetterman took 3 months off to recuperate, and when he participated in a debate, his performance was disastrous, forgetting words, pausing for long periods, and speaking awkwardly. In his opening statement, he said, "Good night, everybody." At the time, progressives castigated anyone who questioned Mr. Fetterman's fitness for office as an ableist. Now, when he's clearly improved, they claim he's unfit to serve. Well, I mean, that's because he had a stroke, and he was recovering from the stroke at the time. Now he's not taking his medications and people just want him to take his medications. There's a pretty big difference between those two. Saying that, oh, and also remember that he was using some kind of program to be able to speak more clearly and coherently, and conservatives were saying that he has a robot brain. And the people were like, no, he doesn't, dude. He's just using a program to help with his speech patterns. So yeah, they're not. It's not like the conservatives were actually concerned about his health and how he wasn't taking his medications. They were saying he was a cyborg. That's what they were saying. Attributing Mr. Fetterman's political maturation to mental illness is shameful, considering political maturation. I would say that's a political devolution, considering the courage it has taken him to speak publicly about his depression. For elected officials especially, it can be difficult to broach such a personal subject. Oh, he's so brave for explaining why he's a piece of shit. Mr. Fetterman should be commended for discussing it openly. He's doing for mental health what former First Lady Betty Ford did for addiction. Holy shit. Raising awareness about a problem suffered by millions in shame and silence. He's encouraging people to... How is he encouraging people to do that? Every time people come up to him and they're like, are you okay with your mental health? He says, those are spurious actions. They're completely just a hit piece on me. It doesn't seem like he's very open to talking about his mental health issues. He's encouraging people to seek professional help. No, he's not. How quickly progressives... I love this. Whenever people criticize progressives, it's always, you're a hypocrite. because you say that you are, I don't know, pick whatever you want. Progressives are so hypocritical because they say that they're in favor of talking about mental illness, but then when someone is mentally ill, they say you should take your meds. Or when they say that they're in favor of egalitarianism, but when someone's a fascist, they criticize them. Aren't you so hypocritical, progressives? Do an about-face when the target of such accusations espouses political views opposing theirs. Bro, they're not saying he should be fucking put into like a 1950s style mental institution. They're saying he should take his meds and they don't like his politics. And if he's not going to take his meds, he shouldn't be serving as a senator because he's literally like likely to kill himself. What's afflicting Mr. Fetterman is a more acute version of what struck Senator Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. Yeah, famously popular senators that stuck it out with the Democratic Party and actually became well-known and loved Democrats. Democrats from red states who tried to reach across the political divide in an era of increasing ideological polarization. It's literally not. I mean, it's just an era of populism and anti-elitism. And then you have the Democrats that are trying to be elite and the Republicans that are trying to be elite. And then you have like some populist Democrats and the Republicans that pretend to be populist. In an era of increasing ideological polarization, I mean, you can say that this is I don't even agree that it's ideologically polarized this era. It's just like there's fascism, but the Democrats aren't really being polarized against fascism. They're kind of getting sucked in with it. And basically, the voters just want someone that will actually look out for them. That's why they voted for Donald Trump and they didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Because Kamala Harris was like, I'm going to means test some things for you. And Donald Trump's like, I'm going to kick out the immigrants and your lives will be better. We're going to kill all the trans. We're gonna get the Haitians out of Ohio. In the case of the senior senator from Pennsylvania, progressives are confusing the disease with the cure. It isn't John Fetterman who's unwell, it's the people around him. Insane. Mr. Kirchhoff, okay. I mean, that's insane. Like, this is just done in a haze of vicious Zionism where he's like, oh, one of the most Zionist and evil pro-genocide senators of the United States are getting criticized. Let me run to his defense. What an insane article. It was definitely worth reading. Oh my god. Okay. Hey, HK, happy to see you here. Dude, Fardas, leave that shit alone. Famously accomplished through non-violent means. Yeah, like, we ended slavery famously through non-violent means. Martin Luther Queen. Yeah, who? That was weird. That was weird. Like, thanks for pointing that out. Alright, let's see. I might do a call here. Anyway, Fetterman. Oh my god. It's just so disheartening. Like, it would be one thing if the Democrats were actually able and willing and ready to do something as soon as they got power, but it's all bullshit. It's just all bullshit. All right, let's see if I do this. My boyfriend's Hispanic mother literally said we couldn't move to a certain town because of violent Haitians. Yeah, Fardas, like, I don't need your fucking anti-Semitic shit in my chat. Oh. Hey, what's going on? Hello? Oh, shoot. I think you're on mute. Or actually, try talking now.
Test.
Okay, now I hear you. So do you want to introduce yourself to chat? I don't know how many people we have watching. Mod me, brother.
Introduce myself. I am.
This is my childhood buddy, hopping on right now.
Long-term friend of James. Pretty much my only connection to this channel. So yeah, James told me about the channel. pretty recently, actually.
Yeah.
I've been listening in sometimes. I think the quality is pretty good.
I haven't
At
really, I
least,
haven't really been like
do
streaming
they
that
know
much.
that from a, do they know that you're from like Vosh's community and that's kind
I
of
mean,
how
I'm
you got
not
started?
really
Or
from Vosh's community, so I guess to get into like the whole politics thing in 2016, I was like, I think we were in high school and we were looking at the Trump election and stuff. And when I went to college in 2017, 2018, I started watching Kyle Kalinske. Um,
yeah,
and I don't know about you, like what you could probably fill in your own background on how you got how you got woke. But then Kyle literally interviewed Vosh, and it was kind of funny. It was like an interview where Vosh had criticized Crystal Ball for something, and so Kyle like confronted him on that. And then I was listening to Vosh, and then I just had like a few summers where I was listening to him, and he was in his whole debate era. And I remember specifically, I was like listening to a debate that Vosh did with like this transphobe, and I was playing it in the car with my family. So my dad, my mom, and my sister, and we were like on a road trip, and we were listening to that debate. And my sister is like a little, she's like, they were talking about trans people, and she's like, she just had the position that trans people aren't like trans women aren't women. That's like the position that she had, right? And so she got down to it, and she's like, and obviously like she was just a kid, so she doesn't know anything, but she's like, well, if you're attracted to someone, then they're not, or she's just like, well, if you're attracted to someone, then they're a woman. And it's like, okay, but you like a man could transition into being an attractive woman, right? And then she had like no argument for that. It like is pretty funny playing that debate, and then them getting kind of like confused because obviously they've never engaged critically with like the idea of, can a man be a woman? Like, can a trans woman actually be considered a woman? Um, yeah. What about you? Like, you watch Vosh too, right?
I think it's interesting that you started watching. I didn't realize that. I think he's probably the first YouTube lefty that I watched, and probably like most of my general stance as like an anti-war guy, which now I think is kind of a meaningless phrase, but overall I think it's
Now you're pro-war.
What?
Now you're
pro-war, but statement.
I've amended my anti-war stance. Now I'm just pro all violence.
Anyway, that's kind of where I started. Obviously, I was pretty involved in like watching the news and learning about politics, even in high school. We used to talk about it a lot, just through debate and stuff. But yeah, you're the one who showed me Vosh, and then
I still remember
that was the first time I started watching like lefty debate content.
I think Matt Dillahunty was another. I don't know. Yeah, like Matt Dillahunty did a lot of debates too.
Specific atheism debate thing. Vosh is more general.
Right. Yeah. No, like I think that's just like a big thing that high schoolers and like college kids like, where it's like, oh, I want to see the debate, and I don't know. What about? I feel like since I've seen all of the debates, it's like I don't need to see these ideas being debated. Do you watch Majority Report? I think we were talking about them.
I mean, not regularly.
Yeah, not regularly. Did you see Sam Cedar on that Jubilee video?
No, I actually want to watch that. Clips of it online, but I didn't watch the whole thing.
It was actually insane. It was good. But once again, it's not like a real debate where they're like chewing they put the ideas in their mouth and they're like tasting them, prodding them from different angles with their tongue, and then seeing
a lot of
like stress testing.
The thing is, a lot of the clips I saw were just like factual wrong statements.
Oh yeah, like, exactly. It's like at this point, Republicans,
like federal agencies get tax breaks or whatever. Like
right, that was the big one. No, like Republicans have just they've left reality. Like, I was looking at the r/Trump Reddit today, and it was interesting.
Oh man.
It was weird. Basically, it's just like, oh, here's a video of ICE beating up pregnant women, or separating families and ripping babies out of the arms of their mothers, and it's just a post labeled "Get 'em." Oh, this one is hilarious. You heard about the fucking Air Force One, or the plane donated by Qatar to Donald Trump, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, this is not corruption. This is a gift. Like what? Like what the fuck is going on? Like they've just completely.
This stuff I'm assuming is just straight up. Am I allowed to say retarded on this channel? Like, is that very anti?
If you, well, I mean, you're not going to get canceled, since I guess you don't have a.
Okay.
I've just been saying Republican instead of retarded. I've been saying Republican
Fair enough.
because I think that's a better description.
r/conservative. I mean, it's also retarded, but it's like there's like some inner turmoil in that subreddit because the people who aren't bots or are traditional conservatives are all like, yeah, maybe we should like probably have somewhat of a skeptical stance against this, and then a mixture of probably Russian bots,
yeah,
and users of this subreddit are all like just defending him to no end. It's more interesting to me because there's tiny amounts of inner discord, but like the utter like smallest amount possible, I think.
Hypercolor says, I'm dating myself here, but I was handing in assignments in high school shit talking George Bush and Tony Blair. Yeah, that's pretty based. Okay, so, but listen to this post. So this guy writes an hour ago, he writes this: can't blame Trump for accepting a free, very expensive plane from Qatar, a luxury plane from the Qatari royal family. He just restated the first sentence. The Boeing 747-8 jet would be retrofitted to be used as Air Force One, then decommissioned to Trump's presidential library in the years after. It's a gift, not a bribe, not corruption. So, like, just
my favorite strand of conservative argument, where they actually don't even refute the argument; they just restate the argument, and then make it seem like, and then act like that's a refutation. Like the fact that after a while they'll leave Air Force One and just become part of Trump's personal collection. That's the part where it's like utterly insane. That's the part you can't overlook.
Oh, this one's hilarious, dude. Attacking from all angles, and it's a CBN.com article that someone just screenshotted on their phone, and it says, witches report their spells against Trump aren't working. He has a shield. Like, bro, what the fuck is happening? It's like, literally, they're in their own fantasy world. They're in their own fantasy world where Trump is like walking around with a shield and a sword and like his shirt ripped off, and he's just fighting all of these villainous trans and immigrant people. Like, what the actual fuck?
It's just disgusting, man. Like, they'll just pick up on like the word. It'll be like the level of journalism that was the whole a cat, like people wanting to like take a piss in cat litter in high school or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like, people identify as cats, and then that'll just be their whole day just talking about that article, and that'll be their intellectual discourse on this fucking subreddit.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting, yeah.
Like, I don't even know. I kind of want to talk to a Trump supporter. Did I show you that conversation I had with a Trump supporter, like, the day after the election?
The one where you were like, I think you were telling me about it.
Yeah, I was telling you about it, because he kept saying, like, he's like, I'm like, oh yeah, so like, I don't even know what I was saying. Oh yeah, he's like, yeah, I voted for Trump because I don't like trans people. I'm like, yeah, you don't care about trans people. Why would you say that? Like, do you have any experience with trans people at all? And he's like, all right, bro, you got me. That's a checkmate right there. Like, I really don't know about him that much. Like, dude, these people just have not thought at all. Like, the reason I DM'd him on Reddit to talk to him is because he made a post on r/Trump where he's like, yes, the black people have finally gotten off of the plantation. Because he's like he thinks that the Democrats are keeping black people in like keeping them down with like giving them welfare and stuff. Like he's one of those people, and so he's celebrating the win of Trump. I don't know, man. It's just so concerning, and obviously, like the most concerning thing, at least to me, is just Trump's Gestapo, like picking up people, picking up anyone really, judges, American citizens, obviously people that don't have like undocumented immigrants, they're picking them up.
They literally picked up the mayor in her own town, like started detaining her. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
There's no level of like. It's one thing. I mean, it's just like, okay, they're going after international PhD students and they're going after people like vulnerable people on their visas. But then it's like they're going after people who are well established,
which is already illegal, by the way. Like going after people on their visas is already like basically illegal.
Of course, yeah. Like I don't know, man. I don't even. It's extremely concerning. I mean, I'm sure you've been already talking about that the whole time. I just don't even know how to wrap my head around it anymore. I don't know.
It's so crazy, and like the fact this is like it's one of the craziest things is how in the lead up to this election with the genocide that's going on in Gaza, people were like, don't conflate anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism, because if you criticize Israel and then people say that's criticizing Jewish people and being anti-Semitic, then that's like a dangerous conflation. And then like Joe Biden basically does that exact same thing. He's like, there are anti-Semitic protests on college campuses, there are pro-Hamas protests on college campuses, just insane shit. You had college presidents getting fired from their jobs for allowing protests to happen. And I'm sure you can speak about this too from like personal experience, witnessing protests on campus. But then like they're doing it, then Trump takes office, he wins the presidency, and immediately he's like, we're gonna deport people for anti-Semitism. Like takes action immediately, turning that theory into an actual practice. I mean, we saw it being used as a practice before, but now he's using it to like take over universities and deport political opponents to him. Just insane how they're using this as an excuse to really just like facilitate his fascism.
It's a huge problem. I was looking at some statements. So Stanford had to make some statements about the protests on campus. And I don't know. I mean, the thing is, there was serious violence against the protesters. So, like, there was one Muslim-looking student, it's not even confirmed that he was student, who literally got run over by a car near campus and stuff like that.
Jesus.
And Stanford's statement was essentially just like, we won't be, like, ceding any, like, basically, it was just all about institutional neutrality. Like, the point of Stanford's education is just to distribute education amongst its student class, and, like, we don't have any part in these protests one way or another. We're not going to be changing our, like, investment strategy or whatever to divest away from Israel, nor will we, like, support the Israeli government or support the pro-Zionist people.
Yeah, we're not going to support them. We're just going to give them money.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, then on campus, like, there's super high tensions because there was, like, a memorial sort of situation going on for people who died in the terrorist attack for a long time.
Yeah.
And there were, like, always Jewish students there and stuff. And, like, right next to it in the student center, there were encampments and tents and protest signs all over for the Palestinian side of things.
Oh, really?
Eventually it all got cleared out, but Stanford just basically doesn't want any of it on its campus. So that's one way to handle it, I guess. At least they're not, like, punishing protesters, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It's very interesting to see, though, the university's responses, because, I mean, they're in such a tough spot. Sanford is like basically. I mean, they could easily lose billions of dollars in federal funding for its NHS and various grants it has, and it
Right.
does affect the whole student body. It affects research in all the departments essentially because the funds get distributed around. So yeah, honestly, like the administration's kind of got them by the balls. I don't know.
Yeah, and have you like looked into the Harvard lawsuit against Trump at all?
No, I mean I haven't been following it. I guess I'd say.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah,
there's been any actions, but like they are actually taking a stand against the Trump administration because it's crazy how um it's crazy how much the Trump regime really wants to stick its tentacles into universities. And I mean, they're getting everything they wanted. All of these fundamentalists that complain about the elites like turning their children into wokies at universities, they're getting everything they want. Where now you have this Christian fundamentalist fascist government deciding what is and what isn't allowable to teach at universities. Otherwise, they're going to pull the funding from universities. So. Like, come on, where's this Project 2026 that the Democrats are working on? Where's the Project 2028 or 2029?
I mean, yeah, it looks effective. I know a lot of people are really optimistic about Harvard beating the administration on this stuff, and I mean, I'm sure that there are going to be lawsuits, and Harvard won't change its admissions, DEI policies or whatever it is. But the fact is that the administration can cost these universities like hundreds of billions of dollars. These universities stand a lot to lose, and so we will be seeing a lot less support for leftist protests on campus. There's no question about it. And it's a tough thing because on one hand I can't blame them. It's just very difficult, I guess, to kind of go against the administration, and it costs the student body a lot as well. Like, there are going to be a lot of students who are losing, financial aid, undergraduate funding, graduate funding, all this stuff. Like, there are lots of students who rely on this, so the universities are in a tough spot. I don't think that you can even say the universities are entirely the bad guy. It's just like, I don't have hope that they're going to win in any way, in any meaningful way.
I mean, they're not the bad guy. They're just, I would say, like, emblematic of basically just liberal institutions caving to this pressure. Like, it's the perfect example of it. And you're right, there's like no real way for them to resist other than just saying we're going to take the L, like, go fuck yourself, and we're going to lose our funding. And that would like decimate the universities anyway. As you say. I
see a lot of people online like optimistic about it in a way that I'm just not.
Optimistic about just the Harvard lawsuit like functioning.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's interesting how people still have faith in the courts holding this administration accountable when there have been like 4 courts ruling on the whole case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia to be returned, and the Trump administration has completely ignored like 4 courts now, and basically there's no indication that they're ever going to honor court rulings and like abide by them.
Well, I'm confused because I don't know why they returned the tough student. Like, it seems like it's inconsistent who they're releasing and who they aren't.
Which student?
I guess Abrego is a student at Tufts. I forget her name. Rumeza or whatever.
Oh yeah.
She was in detention, but I guess she was not.
I think it's because she was in detention, and she wasn't in the El Salvador prison.
I mean, I guess I just feel like from the administration standpoint, it's kind of like if you can release one, I don't see why you can't release the other, I guess.
Yeah, and people are speculating that it's because he was in El Salvador and like they didn't want anyone in El Salvador or in the CCOT prison to get out and talk about what they saw in the CCOT prison. But yeah, it is interesting. Like, I really do think that it's just they're going to, like, as much as possible, they're going to try to ignore court rulings simply on the principle of we don't want to let the courts think they can boss us around.
Fair enough.
But it's crazy. They're saying that this guy is actually a member of MS-13. Like Trump apparently has.
The rhetoric around that makes it like, I don't know if people are legitimately confused by the fact that the MS-13 like letter, like the letters and numbers, were just overlaid on top of the picture, like they weren't actually part of his tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I see so many pictures on Twitter and like these conservative subreddits that are just like posting the picture the administration released. Yeah, clearly this guy is part of MS-13.
So apparently, Rumeza just got granted bail. I don't think she actually got I think she's still fighting her detention and pending deportation. But I think she just got granted bail according to this article I'm reading.
Okay, I guess that means that there will be some sort of trial procedure, right?
Yeah, she was just released from jail, but she's continuing to legally fight against the ICE deportation.
Okay, I mean, good, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that ICE isn't just immediately arresting her, so that's a small win.
Yeah.
Can we share the link to donate towards Denims to GoFundMe against Ethan Klein? Why don't you email it to me and I'll throw it in the stream description. So, dude, okay, have you been watching this like Ethan Klein bullshit on my channel at all?
Those streams I actually started watching. I kind of got into your channel from those, but I don't find them interesting, so I stopped. I don't really care that much about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's not that interesting. However, there are a few, like there are some funny similarities between what this guy's doing and what's happening in the country, where he's like this rich he's like this rich liberal guy who claims he's progressive leaning, but then as soon as October 7th happened, he started taking this like rightward shift and now he's completely justifying the genocide. He's like, Hamas should have built more bomb shelters. He's like, Hamas can end the genocide at any point by just releasing hostages, when Netanyahu has literally said that our goal isn't to release the hostages, it's to eliminate Hamas. And we know that eliminate Hamas is code word for just ethnically cleansing people. Did you see his latest about taking a break from streaming this week because he has to make videos on Hasan? No, I didn't see that, but that's funny. That's really funny. Okay, let me play. I want to see if I can play a clip for you to get your reaction to it. I think that'd be fun to do. Although I don't know if you can if I can stream this or anything, or share the video to you. Denims is suing me. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, you know what?
Welcome.
Oh, okay. I have an idea.
Right, we're back.
So this guy debated Sam Cedar. I think that would be a fun episode to watch with you.
Which guy?
Ethan Klein debated Sam Cedar. Yeah, he debated Sam Cedar on Israel.
Ethan Klein's position, I guess. What exactly is Ethan Klein's position?
So his position is he's basically like a liberal, and he's basically like the perfect example of a Democrat who's like, he's against Trump, but he doesn't actually really care about what Trump's doing. Like, the only thing that he's ever brought up that Trump has done on his podcast is he brought up the tariffs that Trump did. And he brought up the tariffs because he has a factory in China where he has a clothing brand produce clothing for him. So he has a factory in China that he buys clothes from. And so that's why he brought up the tariffs. And he hasn't said shit about literally anything else, about like people getting detained, people getting deported, like funding being cut, the complete dissolution of the government. Hasn't said anything about any of that, but the tariffs are that. So that's kind of his position on the domestic front. And then on Israel, he believes Israel needs to maintain its Jewish ethnos, like supermajority, because if they don't, then the Arabs are going to pogrom them.
Okay, sure.
So basically just like racist, because he's like, oh, in 1970 Iraq pogromed Jewish people, so we can't let Arabs have equal rights with voting. So he's like basically blaming, he's basically superimposing what the Iraqis did to, or like what the far right government of Iraq did to the Palestinians, and saying they do the same thing if Israel ever got rid of their borders. Okay, let me see.
I mean, that's like honestly a pretty standard like dumb Democrat talking point when it comes to Israel. Like the whole talking point where it's like, oh, if the Middle East were left on its own, then Israel wouldn't exist. But this
Right.
isn't true of any Muslim country. Like that's essentially the same point that he's making.
Yeah, that's
Which
what
is,
that's what he says. Like if Israel took down its borders,
why
Israel
that
wouldn't exist anymore.
justifies settler colonialism of Palestinian territory, but I guess
He's also funny because he's like, I want to visit Israel to show everyone how free and beautiful it is. He's like, I have family in Israel he's like, and then when people were criticizing him, he's like, I have family
for some
there.
people.
Exactly. He's like, I have family there. I can't visit my family. And then he's explicitly saying he wants to like do propaganda to show his audience how awesome Israel is.
Okay. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna hate this guy already. Then I know. I just really hate
Dude,
the
watch
willful ignorance. When it
watch
comes
this
to
video
Israel
with
Palestine.
Sam Cedar. It's so funny.
Okay, are we starting from the beginning?
Start it at. We can probably just play it at the same time, and then if you want to pause it, just say pause. I'm at 47:40.
47:40. Okay. I mean,
Talking
go
to Sam
there, I
Cedar.
guess. 1 second.
It wasn't even Iraq. It was a Zio false flag. Well, yeah, there were Zionist false flag operations in Iraq, but obviously the government was also
Basically, I think
scapegoating
I'm
Jews at that
I
point.
just don't know how every Zionist argument, or any even like vaguely supporter of Israel, their entire argument isn't just fucked by what they did. I just feel like that, like it's the same.
Well, it's
okay,
because it's
one of my best
justified.
friends.
Oh yeah, go on.
How is Yemen's bombing justified? I honestly there's no justification at that point.
Oh yeah. Wait, what about your friend?
Basically, I think that's the one argument I've used to at least like gain upper hand in every discussion I've had about Israel.
Wait, what argument?
I'm not gonna argue about Hamas in Gaza, where they exist in Gaza, they're hiding under the hospital, all this shit. I'm not even gonna get into this with you because this is all like bullshit and no one really knows. Why would you bomb Yemen? And there's just no answer.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Wait, has that been effective?
I mean, yeah, about as effective as you can be. I don't know.
No, I mean, like that argument.
friends-
Has that argument been effective?
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I mean, I don't know. It's been okay. It's somewhat worked. It hasn't been like it hasn't been a. Not like I've changed their minds, but you can't really change anyone's mind, you know.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, so like basically, one of my really good friends from the program, he's German. You know,
Oh no.
Like vaguely support Israel no matter what.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he is. So he's not a supporter of Netanyahu. I'd
Right.
have to say that much. Yeah, he's like, yeah, the Yemen bombing was stupid. What they're doing now is way overboard. But then he'll always just be like, but attacks were really bad. Hamas was bad.
You know what's funny?
Israel has a right to defend itself.
I was talking to this German Israeli, anti-Zionist German Israeli. I think he was born in Israel, lives in Germany now, and
interesting.
He's an anti-Zionist, so he's like, yeah, I think that the proper solution is land back, like one person, one vote. That's his position, and he said that there's a significant like group of leftist Germans that are left on everything. They're like super progressive on everything, but they will defend to the death Zionism, and they'll defend to the death the idea that Israel must be a Jewish supermajority ethno-state because they have the guilt.
It's like ingrained in the education system, like the sins of the Holocaust and why like the history of the persecution of Jews and stuff. It's all been kind of super well indoctrinated, I guess.
Yeah. So wait, what's your German friend's position? He's just like October 7th was bad, and so you shouldn't criticize Israel,
or at least
what's the context of the conversation?
He'll always do, which is very common, is he'll focus on the student protests, and he'll say like, I would never support this movement because this movement is calling for the death of Israel.
Okay.
That's the thing.
And then so, you say, how do you define the death of Israel?
Directly about the issue.
Yeah.
Well, I think he would just say like the whole idea that the Israel that shouldn't exist.
But dude, I fucking hate it when people say that. I hate it so much when people say you don't want Israel to exist. It's like, I don't want it to exist as an ethno-state. I don't give a fuck if Israel maintains its name as a country. But I don't like ethno-states. Like, I don't like ethno-states that have built into their laws legislating their ethno-state status. Like, that's I don't know.
That would be a good way to frame. Like, the thing is, what they'll always do is they'll focus on the protest itself. Protests on U.S. university campuses.
Yeah.
And what those people are saying. And
okay.
It really takes a conversation down a dumb rabbit hole because all of a sudden I'm like talking to him about these clips he's seen of some kind of dumb undergrad saying something stupid.
Oh yeah, like Hamas was a liberation.
The whole movement all of a sudden.
October 7th was a revolution.
And nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what am I supposed to say to that? Like, that's not what I'm talking about, man. I'm just talking about the genocide. And it's hard to get him to just like stop and focus on that part at least.
Right.
I think once you do it to the extent I can, he'll agree with me. But it seems to me the primary focus in his mind is just like the anti-Israel rhetoric coming out of the protest movement.
And I wonder if
I don't know how to get
exposing people like that to the atrocities that are being committed by Israel would be a way to snap them out of it, or if they would just shut them, because it's impossible. Like, it is impossible to maintain that position of your preoccupation being on how people are talking about Israel. I feel like it's impossible to be preoccupied with how people are talking about Israel if you are aware of what Israel is doing. And I think that's why, if you look at
aware, dude. Like, he is aware.
I don't think he is. Like in the back of his mind, he has like a
tragedy that
exactly
kind of happening.
He sees it as a tragedy that's happening.
He sees it as a tragedy, but it's just happening. He seems to really.
But that's not being aware of what is happening.
Seems to be against the rhetoric and not the actual actions.
Because, dude, people are looking at...
That's my general problem, I guess, with pro-Israel supporters. I think most pro-Israel supporters are not like Palestinians are all evil and need to die. In the U.S. That's not what they're saying.
Yeah.
In the U.S., they're saying, like...
John Fetterman's kind of saying that.
Better for the protest movement. I think Jewish students feel unsafe on campus. That's like the entirety of what they're trying to say, essentially. So, yeah, once again, I don't know how to really get past that level and move on.
I think that like at the end of the day, if it's just Israel, I don't fucking know, passed a law and it's like you can't use federal funds to commemorate the Nakba, which is a law that Israel passed, and then people were protesting against Israel and they were freaking out. You could have an argument where it's like, okay, well, like anti-Semitism is on the rise because there has been this conflation between Zionism and Jewishness, and protesting against Israel is making Jewish people feel uncomfortable, and like maybe we shouldn't be protesting against Israel because maybe it's causing more harm than good it's doing. I think that when people are in America and they know Israel's doing bad stuff, they know Israel's doing something bad, but they don't really keep up with it on the news. The media doesn't do a good job of covering it. In fact, the media will cover like the one hostage that gets released by Hamas instead of like the hundreds of people that are getting killed every day by IDF bombings in Gaza and being ethnically displaced from the West Bank. Like, people don't understand how bad it is. I feel like people are almost thinking about it as if it's history already. Oh yeah, Israel genocided people. I mean, every country has genocided people. Like, America's genocided people, and we live in America. We don't protest it. You're being a little anti-Semitic for protesting Israel, but not protesting America. And it's just like, at some point, you need to sit them down, play a few interviews of people describing their experience being treated by Israel, being treated as a Palestinian, and hopefully they'd realize that it's not a small thing that Israel's doing. It's a big thing. Like, it's a horrible thing that's actively happening that can end. It's not a natural disaster that we're just passively witnessing. America is taking an active role in it. And I just think if you don't have that element there, you're never going to be able to convince people that protesting this is more important than maybe hurting the feelings of Zionists or people that have like fond memories or feelings towards Israel, and maybe they like tuck their Star of David necklace into their shirt as they walk past an encampment rather than leaving it out of their shirt. like I don't know.
I don't know. I just
obviously it's not your job, but
is like they just don't seem to be reacting in any like emotional or visceral level to like the horrors occurring in Gaza. They just seem not to be affected as much by it. But that just makes it really hard.
I just don't know if they're seeing it. Like,
I get emotional. Honestly, I get emotional talking about it. Then what can I say? Like, I can't really talk to them well, you know.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I remember sitting down.
Here's another layer that like many liberals will take issue with when it comes to student protests about Palestine.
Yeah.
And this is with a different person, not the German guy. Their point was like, I really hate these Palestine protesters because they essentially lost the election.
Oh my god. I hate that so much. I hate hearing that so much. I actually kind of love hearing it because you know what's funny? You know what's honestly kind of funny? Let's just imagine Joe Biden never dropped out. He ran, he won the election. The genocide would still be going on. In fact, it would be like you could argue that it would be even worse than what's happening right now. Like, Donald Trump tariffed Israel. Donald Trump has actually sent an emissary to like talk to Hamas, which pissed the fuck off of Israel. Donald Trump is like an ego fucking maniac. He's not an ideological Zionist like Joe Biden was. He actually got a peace deal done. Did you see those reports that Joe Biden was never pushing for a peace deal?
I didn't see that report, no.
Yeah, it's like a report came out like a few weeks ago that Joe Biden never actually pushed for a peace deal between Israel and Hamas. Like he set it up, but then he never applied any kind of pressure at all. Like,
Oh, sure, I can see that.
Donald Trump
There were
stopped
talks.
bombing Yemen.
He was facilitating talks on a ceasefire, but
What?
he was like, I thought, facilitating talks.
He was facilitating
Or a
talks, but I
ceasefire.
don't think he ever sent like a member of his cabinet over to talk with Hamas members.
Okay.
Like directly without Israel involved. Like that's what Trump is doing. So people want to be like, oh, why didn't these pro-genocide supporters vote for Kamala Harris? Which, first of all, it wouldn't have mattered if they did all come out and vote for Kamala Harris. Like the Republicans rigged the election. I'm a 2024 election truther. I don't know if you know that, but Republicans rigged the election. I mean, through their general shit. And so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. And Joe Biden was literally the one that caused this genocide. And don't get me started, where the politicians should bend to the will of the voters rather than being like, voters, just vote for me, and you should like vote for me.
Okay, here's what I'll say. I don't. So I think the idea that they lost the election for Democrats, that part is dumb. That part's like.
Well, there just weren't enough voters.
Yeah, exactly. I just think like they literally just are not a strong enough contingency and voting bloc to swing the election. That much I think I got her to agree with. But the part that she, I think, had a good point. This is the person I was talking about who was making this argument. The part that she, I think, had a better argument for was that. How did I put this? Like basically, it's just this idea that these protesters seem to only be protesting lefty politicians.
Yeah.
They'll only go protest an AOC speech. They'll only go protest Kamala's rallies or whatever it is. And they will never go protest a conservative rally.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
part, I think she has a good point. I think the organization of the movement in that sense is very poor. I think I do agree with her there. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with that sentiment being like you should protest everyone. To be fair, the Democrats were the ones in power before the election. So now, like, obviously you should be protesting Republicans. And I think that's a good criticism of the movement. Like, basically being like, oh, you don't want to get shot by protesting Republicans. Like, which is also fair. You can protest Democrats, get your message out there, like, get a fucking couple of articles written about you, and not get shot, not get beaten up by police, maybe. Like, you are going to be treated better by Democrats. I just don't buy the idea that that has anything to do with the election whatsoever. Like, oh, you made Democrats look bad?
I think setting aside the election, I do think it's dumb that I just don't buy these excuses. Like, oh, I only protest at Democrat events because I'm safer there, and so I can live to protest another day or whatever. I don't know. I don't find that very persuasive. I think.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that's the only reason, but you agree it doesn't really have anything to do with the election, right?
No, I know, of course not. No.
Okay.
I definitely don't think it had anything to do with the election.
Like, I think
I agree only with her criticism of the movement that is this issue of like, oh, you're only really protesting Democrats, and by doing so, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
I guess I would like to hear the argument of why you're shooting yourself in the foot, because that doesn't follow on its face to me. Like, I don't see how that obviously follows. Like, you can say that you're not doing a good job protesting because you're only protesting like half of the politicians that you could be, but that doesn't seem, I wouldn't call that shooting yourself in the foot. I would call that not doing as good as you could be.
Fair. I think I think it's shooting itself in the foot only because how do I put this? Like, as a protest movement, you need to align yourself and ally yourself with politicians who are more sympathetic to your cause, and distance yourselves and try to protest and hurt the politicians who are further away from your cause. And this is true even if the politicians you're allying yourself with are not on point exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
That's
And
like, I think, what a pragmatic political movement would do.
well, I think
And
then
I don't think that protesting AOC, for example, is
right.
allying yourself AOC, which I think you clearly should be doing.
Well, I think that that's more hyper specific to those two examples where people are criticizing Bernie Sanders and they're criticizing AOC. And to be fair, they're like the only politicians. I mean, there are a few others, but they're obviously the only nationwide, like on a national scale, politicians that are being like, we should stop sending weapons to Israel.
Right.
Which is it like
so okay, to say that might be specific, like too specific to some of the recent examples. I do think, in by the same vein, like the thing I'm talking about with regards to kind of allying and aligning yourself with the correct politicians, I do think protesting Kamala's rallies was kind of strange. I just don't think it's very pragmatic. That's, I guess, what my issue with it. I think it really lacks the pragmatism needed.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree. Like, it seems like there's pragmatism where people are organizing and they are organizing. There was the whole abandon Biden movement that turned into the abandon Harris movement. And don't get me wrong, the people there were fucking crazy. They were like, even aside from Gaza, Kamala Harris is worse because prices have gone up in the last 4 years. It's like,
but there's an explicit, I think, contention from this protest movement, which is that both sides are the same. Even I have said this sometimes. Like, I think that in many ways the Democrats and Republicans are the same on many important issues. I think this is not a time. I think during elections is not the time to put forth that argument.
but I don't think protesting Kamala Harris to call for a ceasefire and to like move to separate herself from Israel is calling both sides the same. In fact, I would say it's the opposite because you're applying pressure.
I think that's just like a position from this movement. Like, setting aside the protesting one side or whatever, I think that is a position from the movement, which is like, both sides are the same. We shouldn't vote for either Democrats or Republicans. I
mean,
that's also why my protest of Democrats is justified, because like,
I mean, all I can I don't really know what you're talking about with the movement. Like, obviously, there's just I don't know if like random college kids showing up to and yelling at AOC of being a genocide supporter are like a really cohesive movement. Like, I can talk about my experience with the abandon Harris and abandon Biden movements because there are like a group across all 50 states. They were supporting Jill Stein. Obviously, they wanted to abandon Biden and abandon Harris. They were explicitly stating to vote for Jill Stein, but a lot of people did end up voting for Donald Trump. And I can say that a lot of people there were disillusioned.
I think that's a bad position. I genuinely think.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think it's a bad position. However, like, dude.
Okay, good. You agree. Okay, but then I think that's legitimate. I would say, like, when it comes to criticizing the movement, that's a great criticism of the movement.
Yeah,
just
but
this whole.
I just think we have to make a distinction between people getting mad that AOC is getting yelled at and people protesting Kamala Harris to try to get her to change her position so that she can earn their votes for an election. Like, that's literally what every voting bloc has done throughout like all of democracy, where they pool their votes together and they're like, we need you to change these things to get our endorsement.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
And that's literally what those abandoned movements were calling for.
If you think your protest is effective, then why are you calling to not vote for Democrats?
If you think your protest is effective, why are you not calling? Well, I mean, you think your protest is basically, I think the position is this: Democrats are funding a genocide. I think that you can get into the meta conversation of like they're more pliable to protesting. I think that's an argument to make, but just their policy was a policy of genocide. Donald Trump, his policy, even though anyone that did any kind of research into it at all, his policy was a policy like if you did any kind of research, you could see that he's pro-genocide, pro-Israel. But if you just listen to his rhetoric, he's pro-peace. He's like, we're gonna bring peace to the Middle East. Joe Biden was the president that not only like resided over the genocide.
I think Trump is going to be worse. I think Trump's presidency will be far worse than the actual Harris presidency when it comes to Israel.
But like the thing is, like you have to think about it as like this. You have to think about it as a voter, and Joe Biden did a genocide, and people's arguments are like, even if there's like a 5% chance that Trump. Even if there's a 5% chance that Trump is like better on it than Joe Biden is, I'm gonna at least pressure the Democrats. And I'm not saying that like people should have voted. I obviously my position was always to vote Democrat, but I can understand the mentality of withholding your vote or even voting for Donald Trump. And I have to say, like on the issue of Israel, even though Trump has done some atrocious things already in just like the 120 days that he's been in office or however long he's been in office, it's not abundantly clear to me that he isn't worse on Israel or that he like isn't better on Israel and Gaza than Joe Biden is. Like that's the thing. Joe Biden was literally created a genocide situation, and Kamala Harris gets in there and she says, I'm not like she gets in the running. What?
Pretty clear Trump is worse, honestly. I actually do think it's pretty clear Trump is worse. Even in the first 100 days, Israel has like I think we've seen a change for the worse on Israel's like aggressiveness. I mean, they have now a standing order to annex Gaza. They have formalized
that's true.
A foreign policy doctrine to analyze Gaza.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that.
But it's not like they weren't going to annex Gaza underneath Biden. I'm just saying it's not like they were not going to annex Gaza underneath Biden.
No, but the explicitness matters, I think. The explicitness of like having a formalized doctrine matters.
Maybe. I don't know if it really matters that much. I don't know if it matters that much. I mean, Joe Biden was literally like ideologically a Zionist. He said so. Donald, like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And once again, we're talking about like tactics of voting blocks. And basically the threat was if Kamala Harris doesn't say, I'm going to like try to I'm going to stop selling weapons to Israel. I'm going to try to end their at least ethnic cleansing of Gaza. She could have said anything. She could have even just like hinted at a separation of Netanyahu. Instead, what do we get? She's like, sit down, I'm talking to protesters.
Part of it is just like the Democrats' kind of dumb strategy of always trying to appeal towards Senate Republicans.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they were ever going to say. I think during the campaign, I disagree with the strategy, but during the campaign, they were never going to say anything leftist, even remotely.
Yeah, that's true, especially in Israel.
That doesn't necessarily mean that she would not be leftist or be poor on the issue when it comes to her presidency, or at least like better than Trump. I'm pretty convinced she would be better than Trump. I'll put it that way.
Like, yeah, I'm convinced too. But she didn't make
the point, which is like, if you think that she is going to be better than Trump, why are you telling people not to vote for her? That's bad.
I'm not telling people not to vote for her.
Bad message. No, the movement is.
No, I think the movement was absolutely incorrect in doing that. I'm just saying that it's not like they've been proven wrong. Because like we haven't seen that much of a difference in Israel's actions now as opposed to underneath Joe Biden. Like, yeah, you can say they're doing more
I
now,
just
but
think
they
it's really
killed a
hard to
fuck
say
ton of
because
people.
if there was ever going to be a difference, it was going to be after the election.
Well, yeah.
And I think if there
Isn't
was
that
ever going to be any
tautological?
difference, I don't think it's tautological, but it's just
The
kind of,
difference
like, hard to
between
prove.
Joe Biden's
I think
presidency.
I'm just trying to, like,
Okay, yeah. No, you're right. I'm just being facetious.
like, it's not tautological, but I agree that it's kind of, it is unfalsifiable. Like, I'm giving you a counterfactual scenario.
True.
But I think that's, I don't know. I mean, I think just given, I mean, ultimately, I don't know. You're right. Like, ultimately, I don't know how the administration would have handled it.
It's just like Israel was doing genocide under Biden. Kamala Harris.
Before, but you have to realize before Kamala's first run for president, she was one of the most leftist senators. Her voting record is like incredibly left.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. I think that's my best argument for why Kamala would have been better on Israel. Like
Yeah, that's true.
If you actually look at the way she voted in the Senate, it was straight up like Bernie Sanders side by side. It wasn't until she ran for president the first time that she started marketing herself as like a moderate Democrat.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, like politicians, they don't stand for anything. They all just fucking, that's always going to be true. But I think ideologically, she's certainly not a Zionist. If you believe her voting record, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's fair to say. Listen, I'm not gonna argue that Kamala Harris wouldn't be better on Israel than Trump. I just think that there hasn't been a big distinction between the Democrats presiding over Israel and Trump's presidement over Israel. And Kamala Harris didn't do a good job hinting that there was going to be a difference between what Joe Biden was doing and what she would do on Israel. And ultimately, that wouldn't matter anyway, because there wasn't enough people that would have voted for her if she's like, this is a genocide, that would have changed the election results. But I think criticizing people for being one-issue voters is kind of dumb.
Okay, so I don't think it mattered for the election. I do think it mattered for... I do think it's an indication of just, like, bad messaging on the from the movement. I think, like...
I think she ran an I think her campaign was not that good. Sorry, what were you saying?
I'm just saying, if you were to criticize the movement on any grounds, I think it would be that. That would be my criticism, I guess. That's how I would say.
But, like, I still don't even... So people are criticizing the Gaza protesters because they didn't want to vote for, like, the party that was committing genocide, and they voted for the one who, like, said that he was going to do genocide. Like, I just don't think it's a very good criticism at the end of the day. Like, people were using their voting power to try to get a politician to change their policy, and that politician never changed their policy, and then they lost. Like, that just seems like good politics.
Yeah, but then they lost and a worse president took over.
Yeah, and a worse president took over, that's the downside. Like, it's a game of chicken, right? At the end of the day.
That's the big downside. You can't. That's the problem. That's the main problem.
Well, like, listen, the downside is irrelevant to the genocide. Both parties support genocide. And even though I do think Kamala Harris would be better.
First of all, even if that were true, there are other issues. There are other issues that actually do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think that, like, the single issue voter for anything is dumb. I don't think anyone should be a single issue voter.
Sure. But I also do think that the parties are somewhat distinct when it comes to the genocide. I think I presented a decent argument for why I think Kamala would have been better when it comes to the issue.
Yeah, like, based off of her voting rights. I mean, I don't know if she campaigns on centrist, like, that's the thing. You just don't know, right? Like, Trump campaigned on being a complete genocidal maniac.
Like, I'm speculating. It's just pure speculation.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, but that's fair. I think we mostly agree on this. I think.
But, like, I think it's a more interesting conversation to talk about protesting, like, AOC and Bernie Sanders, and, like, I think it is fair to criticize people for only criticize or protesting Democrats, like Democratic politicians. I don't know. What do you think about that? Because I think there's a pretty good argument to make
What,
that
what do I think about
about
what do I think about what part?
about people protesting only Democratic politicians. Like, I think there is a good argument to make, and this is one I was making up until the election. I was saying that we should always want Democrats to be in power because they're more susceptible to changing their minds on Gaza, because at the end of the day, they're not propped up by their voting base of Christian Zionists. Like, that's not their voting base. They actually have to like build a coalition of voters, and they might be more susceptible to people that like are single issue voters on the genocide. That's why I was saying that you should vote for Kamala Harris, because she would be more susceptible as a Democrat to changing her position on Israel.
Argument for, like, I think basically, like, what's the argument for going and protesting an AOC rally? I just don't get it. That part I really.
Well, ultimately, there is no good
saying,
argument for
just,
it.
like, bad decisions being made.
Well, I don't think it's a bad decision being made. I think that it gets views, which is always a good. Like, it's even if it's negative, calling out AOC, and it gets like some articles written about it. Maybe it could be like, oh well, AOC still isn't. I don't even fucking know. Calling it a genocide. Maybe that's what they're criticizing her for. And then. Like, dude, I don't even. What were they protesting her about? I know that people were mad at Bernie Sanders because he's like, Israel should defend itself.
AOC does not have a clear anti-Israel stance. That's what they were protesting.
Yeah.
Like, AOC is probably one of the best leftist politicians of our generation. I mean, probably is just. I would even say better than Bernie.
Right.
He's strategic. He has gained immense power.
Yeah.
She is staunchly leftist. She's actually fucking smart about it and can convince people and write good speeches. And she's gained the whole voting bloc of all those leftist politicians a lot of power. Much more than anyone else that ever has. So I think going and criticizing her rallies and her speeches specifically is it's just dumb. Like, I don't know what else I can say. I just think it reflects really badly. And we can go back to, it doesn't matter because they're not changing any votes. But if you believe your protest does anything, why are you doing that?
Yeah, I guess like, at the end of the day, it's kind of. Whoops, I think I'm breaking up here.
Yeah, now I can hear you again.
Okay. I was just saying, like, at the end of the day, I agree with you. Getting AOC to change her position on Israel to from we should stop sending weapons to Israel to Israel is like a fundamentally broken state and we should like change it at its core. It needs to be changed. That is irrelevant. Like, there's no real difference there. That's like a distinction without a difference. It's like, the point is to stop sending weapons to Israel. That's like point A, and that's the only thing that matters right now. So getting her to change her position on that is completely irrelevant. So I agree when you say, like, what's the point of protesting AOC? There's not going to be a real change. There's not going to really be anything meaningful being done. And maybe it is a bit of like, I'm more pure than AOC, but I think like at the end of the day, if people feel strongly about this, Israel's doing atrocities, and like, it'd be nice to have one politician that you can rely on like 100% of their positions to be good. So like, I don't blame people for doing it, but I agree with you. It's not super effective.
I don't find this.
I just don't think that three people criticizing AOC.
There's been no reports of them going to any Trump speech. Like, they don't protest Republican events. It'd be one thing if you were protesting everyone. Okay, fine. You're only protesting like the most leftist politicians or the most effective ones at being leftist.
I mean, but do you think that you're?
This is like the lack
do you think that you might have like a bit of a media bias here, where it's like you're only seeing the protests of leftist politicians because that's what's getting written about. Like, there was literally a sit-in, there was an anti-genocide sit-in in Trump Tower, like a month into his presidency. So I just don't buy the argument that no one is protesting.
Republican politician event. Okay, but I actually do want to see them report a Republican political event.
What? Oh, you want to see them record it, or you say you want to see them
protest a Republican political event? That's what I want to see.
I mean, yeah, true.
Frankly, I don't think there's any. Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of against protesting. Like, probably the most effective advocate for your cause, I think. I mean, this is a small criticism. What I'm saying is, I pretty much have no criticisms of movements, like kind of aspirations, what the content of their message, all of that. Besides this, so you can say I'm nitpicking. I am doing that.
I mean, I can think of like examples off the top of my head where Republicans have been protested. I just think that if you, I mean, yeah, you're gonna be kicked out of Republican rallies way faster than you would be at Democrat rallies too. So maybe that's why you don't really see stuff like that. But yeah, you still do see stuff like, again, the sit-in in Trump Tower, people just like walking up to Republican politicians with cameras. I mean, I do think it's also fair to say that Republicans have made themselves way less accessible than Democrats have. And wasn't like, there were people protesting Musk. Obviously not about Gaza necessarily. I think there was like a Trump protest at his rally.
In separate context, of course. Of course. In separate context, I think Musk is protest for sure. But I think like utilizing the leniency of protests when it comes to Democrats, to go protest Democrats, is kind of.
Let me ask you this: do you think that there are so many protests against Republicans because every single thing the Republicans stand for is unconscionable, that the pro-Gaza protests are kind of getting drowned out? Like, if you go to a Republican to like an anti-Republican event protest and you're carrying a Gaza flag, like a Palestinian flag, but then every pro-Palestinian protester that shows up, there's 10 liberal protesters that are like down with the tariffs, pro social security, you're ruining social security. Do you think that might be a reason why we don't see people like, bro, like there's so many, like there was that fucking day of protesting done where how many people? It was like some crazy number, like 20 million people protested against Republicans. There's protesting being done against Republicans. I think that
drowning out.
When you see protests against Democrats, it's because they're pro-Palestinian protests, because you don't really see people being critical of Democrats if they're not like caring about the genocide that's happening. Like, if you don't care about the genocide, what issue do you have with Democrats? That they're not doing enough? Like, that's not really something that you can super protest over.
The question is, if you do care about the genocides, should you be protesting Republicans?
Hey, thank you, Michael. PSA: to turn on allowed gifted memberships, add allow_gifts at the end of the channel URL, and a pop-up box with show up where you can turn it on. All right, that's a good PSA. Yeah, anyway, like, at the end of the day, there are protests being done.
I think the question isn't, don't care about protests, would you vote? If you don't care about Palestine, would you protest Democrats? I think the question really is, assuming you do care about Palestine, should you protest Republicans instead of Democrats? And I would say the answer to that is yeah. Like,
but I don't think
one comment here that's interesting to me. It says protesting is the way people disagree with a stance they're taking. It's not a stamp of overall disapproval. It's political engagement, and I don't agree. Actually, I think protesting a rally is honestly a stance of overall disapproval.
Hey, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. The thing is this. I do think there are pro-Palestinian protesters showing up against Republicans, but obviously the news isn't going to really cover that, because why would MSNBC be like, and 5 pro-Palestinian protesters showed up, which is the same number of people protesting like Bernie Sanders and AOC, with Palestinian flags, when there's like hundreds of thousands of liberals showing up arguing against the tariffs and stuff. Like, I think there is an aspect of that too, where maybe like there are people protesting Republicans. That's just end of story. And there are valid reasons to protest Democrats. Like, there are a lot of Democrats that are straight up genocidal with their rhetoric.
I think that they're always going to be but once again, you will need to ally yourself with the politicians who are closest to your cause.
I agree with you on AOC,
Even if
but if a Democratic politician isn't calling for an end to selling weapons to Israel, then they should get protested. Like, they should be called. They should have people.
What if they're not calling for an end to sell weapons, but they are calling for ceasefire talks?
I mean, I don't know. At that point, like, if people aren't calling for the end of weapons sales and they're calling for ceasefires, it just seems like they're being purposely obtuse in the idea that Israel wants to do a ceasefire. So I would say, like, calling for a ceasefire is kind of a cowardly position at this point.
Okay, but sure, you might be right about that. But I think that would make a politician calling for ceasefires would probably make them one of the more aligned politicians with your cause than anything else.
Yeah, true. I just, like, at the end of the day, I don't think yelling at a politician is ever a bad thing. And these people aren't they're not members of the Democratic establishment. They're not like they're not other Congress reps. It's not like they're actually playing politics. They're just letting their frustrations be known. And I think going to a town hall and yelling at your congressperson or calling them on the phone, if they're calling for a cease, like, AOC is one thing because she's actively calling for the genocide to stop. Maybe not like using the word genocide, but she's her position is to end the genocide by ending the sales of weapons to Israel. AOC and Bernie Sanders is one thing, but if you haven't been calling for that, then sure, like, fuck it, yell at the politician, get them to change their stance. I don't think that people are going to be like, I don't think a politician would be like, fuck these pro-Palestinian protesters, I'm never going to support Gaza, because, I don't know, why would, I guess, what's the downside of doing that? Like, I understand what you mean when you say you have to align yourself with politicians that have close policy positions. But that's like
how
more.
Any movement gains political power. They get in the ear of a politician who's sympathetic to their cause, and they have people advocate for that cause. If you're distancing yourself from probably the one politician who's on the upswing, gaining political power, and actually put themselves in a position to push your cause forward, then that's a problem.
Yeah, I guess I would say, like, protesting and calling someone isn't really distancing yourself from the person. Like, I think being a squeaky wheel actually makes politicians be like, oh shit, maybe I should, like, actually talk to these people or consider them. Like, Kamala Harris got protested, and I think she, like, met with the protesters or said she was going to meet with the protesters, and that got valid concerns to be done. Like, I just don't really agree that protesting is inherently like an isolating action. I think it's the opposite. Like, if you're calling your congressperson and you're like, fuck you, do a ceasefire, call for a ceasefire.
How can it be anything other than isolating? I don't. It's not very, your position is just not very intuitive to me, I guess.
Well, I just don't think the politicians are like, oh, you were mean to me, I'm not gonna talk to you. I mean, maybe some are, but I don't know. I feel like people inherently don't like getting protested.
I think protesters are making clear that they don't want to work with AOC by protesting her.
But I don't know. If you don't want to work with someone, why would you protest them? Like, doesn't that mean you are working with them to like get them to change their position? Like, I don't know. I feel like protesting is like a form of dialogue, and people don't like being protested, and so they'll either try to change the things that they're getting protested about or try to like subjugate the protesters. But either
that's not. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
like,
we'll see. Like, I think overall, I mean, yeah, I guess
like you're basically
this is a
saying
nitpicky
like
I'm not super convinced by like some of the strategies that they've been using.
like I just don't really understand where this would logically lead. You're basically saying don't protest AOC, and a protest could even be like calling their office or whatever. You should instead protest the people that are fundamentally opposed to you and would never change their position because their voter base is what?
Protest the levers of change. People in power.
Yeah, people in power. Yeah, that's true. You should protest the people in power, but like as you said before, the one way to
adjacent to your cause probably when push comes to shove, agree with you and are just like not in power, holding a rally to protest the Republican administration. Like, I don't know.
But I mean, you just said aligning yourself with a politician that could gain power is an effective political strategy. Why not protest a politician that's in maybe in the minority now, like a Democratic politician or a Democratic senator, but then if they change their policy position, and then they win the majority in the midterms, like that would still be an effective strategy, right? Like obviously it wouldn't be as effective if they could just get Republicans to change their position. But I don't know. Like at the end of the day, I think there's enough angst to go around and protest everyone. And I think our major difference is I don't think AOC is going to suddenly be a Zionist because she got protested. And I don't think that like public sentiment's going to change because AOC was protested by pro-Palestinian protesters. Like, and I think it's just.
I don't think public sentiment will change either way. I think all this is just conditional on believing that your protests do anything at all, which as a protester you probably do.
I mean, I haven't protested that much. I think there's evidence that protesting has worked.
I'm saying as the protesters in the rally, they probably do.
Right. No, you're right. Do you want to watch this clip? We'll watch a little bit of it and then probably call it. Been going for a while. Yeah, I hope AOC primaries Chuck Schumer too. We don't have to watch this entire thing, but it is kind of funny.
I doubt it's gonna happen, but I hope so.
I mean,
Chuck Schumer raises a lot of money, man. Chuck Schumer raises so much money for Democrats.
He raises so much money, but I mean, people fucking hate him.
Yeah, people do hate him.
All right, I'm at 4740 on the video.
All right. Wait, let me find it. Okay, yeah, I have it up.
All right.
Let me know when to play.
3, 2, 1, play. Okay, so do you know the lore here? Sam Cedar was talking, or Ethan Klein brought Sam Cedar on to debate Steven Crowder.
Together. Nice to see you again.
Oh wait, hold on. Let's pause it.
Yes, we're all. It's a tragic loss.
All right, I paused at 47:55. So I have to give you the backstory on this. So Ethan was like friends with Hasan, and they broke up over Israel-Palestine. Hasan kept saying, talk to me, Ethan, debate me. And Ethan's like, I'm going to debate Sam Cedar first. And so the context of this is he's bringing on Sam Cedar because he has said multiple times, Sam Cedar agrees with me on everything about Israel. And then, so he basically what he wants to do is bring on Sam Cedar, demonstrate that Sam has all of the same positions as Ethan, and people are just attacking Ethan for no reason whatsoever other than just like hate and harassment. And so then the next day he was going to have a conversation with Hasan. So he's like, so he wanted to bring on Sam Cedar so that he could say, why are you attacking me? Sam holds all of my positions. So basically the only reason I'm telling you that is because it's funny that the context of this conversation is Ethan is under the assumption that Sam agrees with him on everything, and it soon becomes clear that that is absolutely not the case. All right.
Okay, sure.
Play. Are you at 47:55?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Play.
Of a great career and so much potential.
Yes, it is.
Dude, this guy looks way different.
Are
than
we
what I
live
last
now?
saw him.
We
Sam
are
or Ethan?
on the H3 channel. Yes.
I want to just start by
Yeah, he lost a lot of
sort
weight.
of
It's on like
apologizing
Ozempic or
that
something.
I sent you a DM on Twitter 6 months ago or something. I was just going through to find out, and then I just realized you're no longer on Twitter.
Yeah.
So that
yeah.
He
explains
say what,
why I
Dan?
didn't hear back.
He may no. Yeah, I didn't see it. I wish I would have, but honestly, I don't know what to do because like I want to get off Twitter, but also it's kind of a pain because Twitter is the way that like I would reach out and speak to most people. But I also don't want to be on a platform that's like owned and perpetuates basically like Nazi shit. So
Yeah, this was yes, I understand that.
Yeah,
but I just wanted you to know I did reach out, and it was on me not to realize that. I just assumed you didn't want to respond, but
okay, well,
me.
that's nice to know that you reached out. I appreciate that. And the reason, I mean, obviously, people have been pushing for this.
I do love how
conversation.
he's
I don't know
dressed
if you
like a
know,
villain
a
in
little
John
bit of
Wick.
The background of it.
The black on black.
I mean, this is all I know is that Hasan reached out to me sometime. I mean, I got in touch with you October 24th. And I said that I was meaning to reach out for a couple of weeks. So I assume it was sometime in early October. And my thought we were just going to do this off air. But my understanding is that you and he were getting into it, and you felt like because he wasn't Jewish, he didn't have a perspective on this. And that's why he suggested that you speak to me. I don't speak for all Jews, just to be clear.
Right.
I speak for my own.
So the context there is that Ethan was telling Hasan, like, how can you say that From the River to the Sea isn't anti-Semitic? How can you speak for my ethnic group?
No, actually, I mean, that's.
And then
that's
Sam's
a
like,
total
okay, we'll talk to Sam
mischaracterization,
Cedar then.
Which is kind of my problem with Hasan, which we can get into if you want. We don't even have to talk about Hasan.
Yeah.
But basically, what I told him was that I was citing polling data that shows that about 70 to 80%.
And Ethan makes a lot of
diaspora
jokes
Jews
about Sam being
have
Jewish
some
too.
kind
It's
of
kind of
positive
weird.
Feelings towards the state of Israel, and he was disagreeing with me. And I mean, this is available by polls, readily available by Pew Research just last month, showing that. And I have, I don't know if you agree with that or not. I can pull it up, but 72% of diaspora Jews have some type of at least positive feelings about the state of Israel. I was stating that fact to him, and he was saying that I was wrong. And I said, "Who are you to talk about this?" I did not say that I only listen to Jewish people, which is a little bit of presumptuous and a little insane.
No, I don't think that's not what I took him to say. But yeah, I mean, Hasan is that's irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that I haven't seen that poll. I've seen ones that have said that they have a connection. They feel a connection, either strong or somewhat.
So I'm reading the poll now. It says 72% of Jewish respondents say Israel makes them proud, while nearly 2/3 find it hard to support Israeli government's actions.
No, your upbringing at all, but I mean, certainly my upbringing, my Hebrew education was...
That's U.S. Jews.
I would say 1/3 Holocaust, and you know, I'm older, and so this was, you know, in the 70s, 1/3 into the 80s, 1/3 Holocaust, 1/3 Israel, 1/3 Hebrew, like Hebrew and Jewish culture, and I certainly feel a strong connection to Israel, but I wouldn't call it positive these days.
Sure. I guess like, I think what the poll attempts to is basically, if you ask Hasan or a lot of people on the left, I think an emotional
why
attachment
is this
is the way to
poll
describe this. So it's like if you think
I
it's
certainly have an emotional
why is the
attachment,
poll relevant?
and it's not
Because
I wouldn't describe
Ethan's
it
trying to say that if you criticize people that like Israel, basically if you criticize Zionists, then you're being anti-Semitic. That's the argument he's trying to make.
Oh,
Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Regardless, basically, I want to flesh out my ideas, my thoughts, because I'm being characterized by
This is funny.
Hassan and
So
a lot
Ethan
of
tries
his,
to play this
cohorts
opening
as being
and Sam,
Zionist,
and he
being
thinks Sam is going to be
pro-Israel,
like,
being
of course, why
Israel
would people call you a
apologist, being
Zionist?
genocide supporter, being a
And then
baby killer,
Sam's like,
being
no,
married
you're
to a baby
wrong.
killer, et cetera, right? My wife is Israeli. I don't know if you know that. So basically, I would like to just take the opportunity to explain my ideas, what I think about Israel, and you can tell me what you think, because apparently I will only listen to other Jewish people. So finally, I can speak to someone whose opinion matters to me. So thank you, as the official sanctioned Jewish man, Sam Cedar, everybody. 100% Ashkenazi. You ever taken one of those?
I haven't.
Dude, isn't
but
this weird?
I'm quite sure I have some Sephardic Jewish ancestry too. So I would mix.
That's good.
Vilnius and Hungary, I think.
Good for you. I think
Thank
that's
you.
always a good thing. Hey, my friend, I'm 99.3%. So that's my.
All right,
that's
well,
that's where my authority comes from.
I'll take your word for it.
So at
That's
any rate,
where my
let me
authority-
start here by showing you a little context.
Oh, let me also just say I got about an hour. I
Okay,
gotta
great.
Get
Well,
home
I'll just
to-
get into
to
it
cook
then.
food.
Oh, here it is. Not that it matters, but okay, whatever. So let's start here. Let's start with a little icebreaker here. I know we're both fans of Tim Pool. Okay, let's just enjoy this image together. Tim Pool recently had a wedding, and can you see? Can you see that?
Did he get married?
Well, I think he's attending a wedding.
That would have been funny
Okay.
if he
And
was
he's
getting
very
married
formally
with the
dressed,
beanie on.
Except he appears to be wearing a beanie.
I would. I'm aware of his beanie attachment.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought this was a fine look for our good friend Tim Pool there. Very good.
Nice suit.
Yeah. So
Jesus Christ, dude.
well, let me ask you this: what have you kind of like heard about me? Because I mean, I know that your colleagues have an
I got to be
opinion.
honest with you. I have not.
I know.
heard much.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's. All right. It'll about to get
The
good.
only thing I really saw that came up in any of my mentions on Blue Sky, I'm also on Blue Sky, is just this issue about talking to me, and I had presumed that was it. But I don't, look, from my perspective, I'm not, and I know that there's been, you mentioned in the email that there's been a lot of grief that you have taken, and I know that other people have also taken grief on all sides of this. And the personal aspects of this, and I don't believe that people. I don't actively attempt to deplatform people. I don't think people should do that. I don't think people should be swatted or tried to be fired or whatever, or have CPS sicked on them. Or
Apparently,
any of that. I mean,
CPS was called
just
on this
don't
guy's
think
kids.
That's appropriate. I mean,
I don't know
I'm
if
more
you've seen
interested
that
in
at all.
talking about my relationship to Zionism.
It's pretty
and my
funny.
perspective.
He tells a story about how his kids like ate his dog's shit on his podcast, and then like CPS gets
totally
called
agree.
on him
Let's just
because
talk
of it.
about the facts. Let me start by showing you this clip. So I've been actually talking about my feelings on the Israel-Gaza Palestinian dispute situation for a long time. I lived in Israel for 5 years as well when I was with my wife early on. Here's my position right after October 7th, and you can tell me if you have any. If you have any comments on any of my positions here, but this was posted on. This was from our episode a few days after October 7th. Yeah.
Liars and bad faith weirdos.
Yo, little boy,
So
you
here's
can
what I'll
be
say
in
about
there,
Israel. Okay, listen. This isn't the first time I've said it.
and I'll say it many more times. The cabinet is run by genocidal maniacs, okay? They're led by Netanyahu, who should resign in disgrace and go to prison for being a war criminal, okay? He's made a coalition of the most like radically conservative freaks that don't represent, by the way, the majority of Israelis. And they're hell-bent on genocide, frankly, overtly. They've committed tons of war crimes in Gaza, including the killing of children, obviously, because Gaza is one of the most densely populated places in the world. 50% of the residents are under 18, so when you bomb a building, the chances that you're killing children is pretty much 100%. Okay? It's fucking barbaric. It's unacceptable. It's disgusting. I've seen videos, you know, I saw videos of Palestinian dads holding his dead like 5-year-old daughter. I mean, I don't need to watch this part because it just gets a little too emotional. But I mean, so that was my take right after October 7th. And obviously that was coming off the end of me being like kind of, I'm an Israeli citizen. The morning of October 7th, me and my wife were up at 3 a.m. as families were calling into news stations from their safe houses, people being burned alive with their families being murdered while on the phone with news. So coming off of that emotional shock, right, was this was my reaction. Now, I don't know if there's something Zionist or pro-Israel I said there, but maybe I don't understand.
I mean, I might, I think much of what you said was true. I'm not sure, frankly, if what we've seen Israel do in terms of Gaza is not broadly supported in Israel. I'm not seeing the body politic. I mean, I was doing a lot of interviews with Israeli reporters earlier in 2023 about the protests against what Netanyahu was doing with the judiciary. And there was a question as to whether Israelis would see that this autocracy that Netanyahu was attempting to sort of impose on the country wasn't an extension of what was happening in places like the West Bank and in Gaza in some fashion, and more so the West Bank at that time. And so I think it's hard to make an argument. And look, I would make it's not a perfect analogy as to what's happening in this country, but when you talk about the Israeli population not having a problem with what's going on in Gaza, I don't see a lot of evidence of that. There's certainly, I would imagine, a percentage of Israelis, and I know some of them who think that Israel should stop its assault there, but I don't think I don't see a lot of evidence that a year and a half later, after you said those things, that this is not the character of the vast majority of Israeli society. I mean, I'm not necessarily convinced that they are as aware. I mean, I've talked to people who have reported in the West Bank, and they said they would go from the West Bank into Israel, and the lack of awareness of what was happening in the West Bank by Israelis was shocking to them.
And this is why I was saying that, the people that are supporting Israel just don't know what Israel's doing in the West Bank and in Gaza.
Happening in Gaza, that they wouldn't change their mind, but I don't see a lot of evidence of it.
So, as you touched on, this was made.
He knows.
I think he knows that. He knows vaguely, generally of the
Here,
stuff.
pause it for a sec. I lost my spot. He knows generally about it.
Yeah, he knew about the Lebanon bombings. He knew about, just the leveling of entire cities.
Yeah.
Children dying, all that stuff. It's not like he wasn't aware.
Yeah, that's true. It's difficult. What time are you at?
I'm at where is this? I'm at 102.07.
102.07.
Okay,
All right.
but what's like what are their stances and what are they actually going to debate? Because I feel like nothing's actually happening.
All right, let's skip ahead a little bit then. So basically they debate a while. Ethan basically is like, Israelis aren't racist. And Sam's like, yeah, I think they are a little racist. That's what they debate then. That goes on
I
for...
also don't know if like, even if it were true that this poll that Ethan's talking about, that most of the Israeli diaspora, like the Jewish diaspora, supports, like has some positive feeling towards Israel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that means anything.
Well, this is an important part. Skip to 1:20:40. 1 hour, 20 minutes, 40 seconds. And this gets into, I think this is like the biggest difference between them, where Ethan seems to think that if you criticize someone that is supportive of Israel, then you're being anti-Semitic. And Sam thinks that it's a very dangerous conflation. And
people are upset about left plus masculinity. I point to Sam. Okay.
What is this?
Talking about,
Michael?
What? Okay, yeah. I don't know. Wait, Sam? Oh, Sam Cedar, maybe? Anyway, what's the...
1:20:40.
1:20:40. I also just don't understand what they disagree on. What are they disagreeing about?
Well, you'll see here. I mean, the first thing they disagreed about was that Ethan basically says Israel's not it's not full of racist people. There's just some people. There's just like the government represents a far right fringe of the Israeli population, and Sam is like, well, I've seen polls that dispute that.
Both the Palestinian and the Israeli people are pretty radicalized. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and Ethan even said an unfortunate outcome of this war has been that Israelis feel very isolated. And I'm like, yeah, not super surprising that they feel isolated. Okay, let's play it. Ready? Play? Are you playing it?
Oh yeah, I am, but...
Oh, okay, whatever.
One
I'll
be
just
the
play it
fucking
too.
local dog catcher
Wait,
as...
1 second.
Come on, we have to count it down.
Yeah, you're right. I fucked it all up. Where to go? Shit, okay, here it is. Okay, I'm ready. Count me down.
All right. Wait, what time are you at?
1:20:40.
You couldn't even... You should...
All right, 3, 2, 1, play.
Even let someone be the fucking local dog catcher as Felix was posting, if they've ever exhibited any sort of like positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm so serious about this.
Now, by the way, he didn't misspeak. He doubled down on it yesterday. He said, no, I agree. That's what I think. Now, just to recap, he says, anyone that's had positive feelings at any point about the state of Israel is a neo-Nazi that's not fit to be a dog walker. Now, to me, that seems like extremely dangerous, dehumanizing language about what could arguably be 70% of the Jewish diaspora, and certainly probably people you know in your family.
I'll tell you.
So in that very poll that Ethan's trying to cite, it says like 66% of American Jews don't agree with the Israeli government.
I mean, he says Zionism, and I'll tell you what I think is really...
Sorry, I got to correct you. He says Zionism, and then he says if you had positive feelings about the state of Israel at any point in your life.
I got to tell you, if you look at what's happening right now, and
right, exactly,
positive feelings about Israel,
he said at any point in your life, Sam. Just to be clear about what he said.
Would I have said at any point in his life, someone's life? But I just think this is such a petty, like the idea that we're going to police. Hold on, let me respond. You want me to respond on this?
No,
I don't. Like I say, I don't care about this. But if you're going to force me to respond to it, what Israel is doing right now is so far beyond the idea that someone says any time in your life or not or whatnot. He's talking about Zionism, and frankly, I think it's very difficult for me to understand how someone could have positive feelings at this time. Now, you want to say in the past and what? Okay.
Yeah.
Like I say, I will grant you at any time in your life that is too broad a step. But wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
But see, you go in and you're making this about anti-Semitism by doing this hopscotch about a poll that people had positive feelings that Jewish people do, and then therefore he is anti-Semitic. And honestly, that type of conflation, I think, is so dangerous and so disingenuous. I mean, I don't want to get too passionate about this, but I will tell you something. I have had a guy who went to my bar mitzvah, my sister's bar mitzvah, my kid's bar mitzvah, sat at Passover with me 3 or 4 times, call my father and ask him if I'm anti-Semitic. Now, this is just one, that is just an example, an illustration of conflating when he's clearly talking about Zionism. Was it hyperbole to say any time in life, whatever? The fact of the matter is this conflation is dangerous for Jews. It is a fig leaf and a way of weaponizing anti-Semitism that has enabled Donald Trump to do the shit he's doing, that has enabled the slaughter of thousands upon thousands of children and women and men, for that matter. It is not keeping Israelis safe. And this type of conflation, Ethan, is what I find far more irresponsible, frankly, than the idea that he said positive any time. I mean, look, you do a show
Sam,
4 hours a day. He does a show 5 or, as far as I could tell, 15 hours a day. And to focus in on that one tiny clause.
This is not one tiny clip, Sam.
Well,
you don't know. This is a totality of behavior.
But you
and by the way,
it's
easy. And I appreciate that you can hand wave it away and say that it doesn't.
No, I'm not hand waving it away.
Well, you kind of are.
I'm saying this
You're saying
conflation.
It doesn't. You're saying actually I'm wrong for caring about it.
No, yes. In fact, I'm saying this conflation is incredibly dangerous. It is disingenuous.
I think it's dangerous
right now,
to ignore what's being described as dehumanizing, violent language for American Jews that have nothing to do with the war.
That is a complete mischaracterization of
that. It's not.
He's
not fit to be a dog walker.
He never says the word Jews.
He says a
Listen. How many members of Kufi have positive?
Kufi, I looked it up. Christians United for Israel.
Members of Kufi, the Christian organization, have positive feelings for Jews. It is clearly not a function of their Judaism. It is not a function of their Judaism, and so it is not.
But it describes most Jews.
No.
Yes, it does,
Sam. It describes most Christian evangelicals, too.
It may do them, too, but it also describes 73% of Jews.
That is not anti-Semitism. That is about
I don't know.
belief.
What do you call it when somebody's discriminating against the vast majority of a racial or religious group, Sam?
I'm sorry. You want to look at evangelical Jews?
I don't care about evangelical people.
Okay, but I'm talking about the way you're constructing this.
I think
you can say the same thing about Christian evangelical Jews.
Here, do you want to pause it?
Christian evangelicals too.
All right, I'm paused at 126.0.
Yeah, fine. I just don't understand. There could be an alternative reason that Jews support Israel, aside from the reasons that Israel is being criticized for. Like, you can't hand wave away the criticism of Israel because most Jews support Israel, and so that makes it so it's anti-Semitic to have any criticism of Israel. It doesn't. I don't know. I guess I don't think that he's making a complete argument at all.
As Sam says, like, he's had positive feelings about Israel. Like, if you grew up in the American school system, you've had positive feelings about the state of Israel. And yeah, you can like Israel for reasons that aren't, it's an ethno-state, and it's so like doing a genocide right now. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, when Hasan's like, if you have positive feelings about the state of Israel, basically it means you've been talking it up while it's doing a genocide, and I think that is reasonable criticism, I would say. Like, obviously you can be nuanced in your approach to Israel, but if all you're doing is saying how great Israel is in the context of it's getting constantly criticized for doing a genocide, I would say that effectively means you're like running defense for a genocidal state.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I think that overall, his criticism is just not. His issue with criticizing Israel is not very persuasive.
Well,
This jumps past the validity of the criticism. Like, we're not debating the logical structure of the argument against Israel. We're just saying, well, most Jews support it anyway.
Exactly.
You have to first start with that validity of the criticism and then work towards why people are supporting Israel.
And it is so insidious.
The number
Like,
of people who support Israel does not transcend the logical nature of the criticism.
yeah.
This isn't like.
But like the real gross thing is I've talked to like a few anti-Zionist Jewish people, like outspokenly anti-Zionist, and Sam Cedar is outspokenly anti-Zionist. He just got done giving the example of like his family friend asking him if he's anti-Semitic for speaking out against Israel. And a lot of like pro-Israel organizations try to define your Jewishness as supporting the state of Israel. And so that's why people that are in that like Jewish Voice for Peace movement that are explicitly anti-Zionist, and other like individuals that are explicitly anti-Zionist Jews are being called out, and they're called like self-hating Jews, or they're being called, you're not a real Jew because you don't support Israel. And that is like a big issue in Jewish communities. Like, I read an article about one of the organizers for Jewish Voice for Peace. They had to retire or at least like take a extended leave of absence because their entire community was like just exiling them, like not letting her be a part of the community at all. So it is like really fucked up how you cannot be a Jewish person, or there are forces trying to say that you cannot be Jewish if you don't support Israel. Or like if you speak out, maybe not don't support it, but if you speak out against its actions, then you're not a good Jew. All right, let's play like 10 more minutes of this. All right, 3, 2, 1, play.
It is not anti-Semitism. It is not. It just isn't.
Like, taking one example in isolation, which is what we've done here.
Well, you're the one who gave it to me.
Yeah, well,
I don't even want to talk about it.
I disagree with you.
Like, I do like this.
In that instance, that is not anti-Semitism.
Well, I disagree.
Conflation. Okay, well, that's our disagreement.
Yeah.
But I think that conflation is incredibly dangerous.
Well, I disagree as well on that. I think
it's dangerous for this society.
I think, frankly, I think it's dangerous to what I perceive as hand waving. What
like at the end of the day, it is just an anti-intellectual argument.
You're endorsing
decades of thought about this.
It was explicitly trying.
Right. Sure. But the point is,
you're like essentializing a racial group for support of an ideology.
I personally, I mean, Jewish people have a collective memory of trauma, Sam, and it starts a certain way. And it starts with people. It starts with dehumanizing language, like saying you're not fit to walk a dog. I mean, what are we doing here? It's irresponsible language.
Right, exactly.
He's not talking about Jews.
He's talking about 73% of Jewish people.
No, you said that.
No, that's a poll that's readily available.
No, you made that connection. He did not. Because we have millions upon millions of members of Kufi. We have millions upon millions in this country of evangelicals who also believe the same thing.
That are anti-Semitic as fuck, by the way.
Could you describe
You cannot say it's anti-Semitism if you're also including millions upon millions, far more Christians than Jews.
Would you say that your father, who you mentioned, said something to you, that he's ever in his life had positive feelings about the state of Israel?
I've had positive feelings of Israel.
Well, does your dad have any positive feelings about it now? Not in terms of like I support them, but like I think
positive
Israel.
Feelings. I went to Israel
Okay, good. Then you're a neo-Nazi, not fit to walk a dog. How do you feel about that?
No, that's you saying that.
That's literally what he said. I'll play it again.
No.
I think like this will never happen, but in a totally just world, any kind of regardless of your background, any kind of fucking
bro, it's so
Zionist
funny.
needs to
Ethan
be
Klein's
treated
wife
same
was in
way
the
as
IDF.
being a fucking
He literally
neo-Nazi.
he debated Hasan, and
you couldn't even
in the debate, Hasan got Ethan to be like, "Fine, my wife is a terrorist." Like he got him to call his wife a terrorist.
Any sort of fucking,
and then the next day, Ethan Klein comes on and he reads a post and he's like, Hasan calls Ethan's wife a terrorist, but he doesn't have the guts to say it to his face. It's like, bro, you said it you called your own wife a terrorist.
Right. You can say that's a wrong thing to say, but he's not talking about Jews. He's talking about people who have exhibited these positive feelings, and that includes millions upon millions of Christians. More Christians.
Okay, well, listen, I don't think they're neo-Nazis, not fit to walk dogs, either. I think it's insane language.
Listen, you don't want to tell me that you have never engaged in hyperbole. You and I both are in this business, and we do that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I just think that,
it's listen. You can say it's an inappropriate thing to say. It's an unfair thing to say.
I just think like Arabs that support Israel aren't fit to walk a dog.
It is not anti-Semitism.
Okay, well, we're at an impasse on this one.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, but anyway, another thing he does is he says Zionist tendencies, and he's someone that plays around with Zionism. He calls me a Zionist, and again, I know we're arguing here about semantics of what Hasan said, but I don't think that you could accurately characterize me as that, as it's used colloquially. You don't know, right? But he's saying Zionist tendencies. What does that mean? What's a Zionist tendency?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, you're going to talk to him on Friday. You can ask him what his Zionist tendency is. I suppose.
I know exactly. He's just trying to signal to his audience that Hasan's being anti-Semitic.
Various different understandings of what Zionism is, but I think it is my guess. And I don't know what he was thinking specifically.
It is dumb.
But the notion of an ethno-state that has
trying to think if there were any other good parts.
Whatever in the name of Zionism allows for this mass slaughter.
Were there any other good parts, chat?
Sure, me too.
Okay. I mean, then I think we the three of us agree on that regard.
Yeah, I think we're so. Another thing is like to take it even further. I mean, Hasan pretty much like openly supports Hamas.
Let's not talk about Hasan. Let's talk about this.
Sure. I mean, what do you want to ask me?
I mean,
and they talk about Hamas.
Ask me about. I mean,
well, let me. I have.
I'm not.
Anyway, we could probably call it there.
Yeah. I have a list of things that.
But if you want to talk.
I'm going to pause it. Like, at the end of the day, that is kind of just the biggest disagreement, that Ethan thinks, if you criticize Israel, you're being anti-Semitic. That's kind of the position that he has.
I don't know. I just think, I think it's kind of, I'm not surprised. I feel like that's a very SJW way of approaching an issue. Like,
oh, yeah, for sure.
Bad position. Oh, this is a minority that supports this position, so therefore we can't criticize this position. Like, no, you have to actually talk about the position.
He says that exact thing, dude. You know what? Like, it's kind of funny. Did you hear that Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of came out in resistance to our funding of Israel? Like, as fascist as the Republicans are, the ones that break with Israel are so refreshing. Because you get none of this fucking bullshit where it's like, oh, well, a minority group could potentially be discriminated against if we stop funding a genocide of a country that claims it represents them. It's just like, I've never heard of Israel. I don't even know how to spell Palestine. she literally, I saw a video today.
It's kind of like, it's also just, anti-Semitism is baked into a lot of, I think, conservative conspiracies.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, they are anti-Semitic as fuck as well.
A lot of it, like, that's kind of why I think Candace Owens jumped on the anti-Semitism train.
Dude, she literally anti-Semitism destroyed Ben Shapiro's career. Like, the Daily Wire is falling apart now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny to see these little rifts.
Dave Portnoy, did you see that shit?
To support Israel.
Did you see the Dave Portnoy shit where someone got that sign that said "fuck the Jews" in his bar? And it's like, your favorite man is like Elon Musk. You voted for Donald Trump, and now you're gonna cry about like anti-Semitism.
Well, it's just so stupid coming from these people who are always like ranting about not, not wanting to be snowflakes or whatever, and
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, I think I'm gonna call it.
You can't.
What?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. I was saying, if you're gonna go that kind of route, then you can't act like this is out of bounds. Like fuck the Jew signs or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also love with the fucking like bleeding heart libs where they're like, "Oh, but you're being anti-Semitic for protesting against Israel. They're doing pro-Hamas protests." It's like, can you just boil it down and talk about the violence that's happening? It's like Israel's killed probably hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza. They're ethnically cleansing the West Bank. They're ethnically cleansing the Gaza Strip. And you're mad that some people like feel I don't even think that people do feel uncomfortable. I think that's literally all lies. But you're mad that maybe some people said like, "Oh, I'm pro Hamas" at a protest. Like some college kids said like, "I'm pro Hamas" at a protest, and that's the headline. Like at the end of the day, or at some point, I just wish the media would like cut through the bullshit, get rid of all of this fake sensibilities and, "Oh, my feelings are hurt by you supporting this group." It's just like, can you talk about the actual violence and the amount of people that have been killed for this at all? It's just so, oh man. This shit has like made me so fucking disheartened and disillusioned with the media in this country.
For sure. I mean, I don't think even the most like MSNBC, like left-leaning news networks really cover the issue well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Mehdi Hasan basically got like pushed out of MSNBC.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, it's so crazy to me, like covering this motherfucker, Ethan Klein. It's so crazy to me that he hasn't said shit about any of the anti-free speech repercussions that people have experienced from talking about Palestine. Like, so basically everyone that spoke about Palestine got pushed off of traditional media, and now people are getting blackbagged and detained for protesting. And even just like speaking about Palestine on non-traditional media like YouTube and Twitch and stuff. Anyway, I gotta call it.
Good.
Thanks for hopping on. We should do this again sometime.
Yeah. It's fun. It's interesting to get back into the YouTube like lefty shows because I wasn't watching them for a bit.
Yeah.
I was busy, and now I have more time and I can kind of see where I feel like the channels interact with each other way more now. I don't know if it just sounds.
I think so.
Thing, but
I think it's just becoming a bigger space. I think after the election, like a lot of growth happened online, which is interesting.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll talk to you later.
All right. See
ya. All right, chat. I gotta head off. I don't know. Maybe we'll watch a little bit about this. Oh, let's just watch Ethan talking about he's gonna take a break. I was hoping the show was gonna take a break. Maybe the show's going to. Hasan takes Ethan out of context. I was thinking about watching this, but I think it's just gonna be Ethan like spazzing out the entire time. Let's just watch this, and then I'm gonna call it. Ethan is taking a break.
Stuff. I'll save it together for like a Warzone episode. Oh yeah, here's something I do need to say. I'm canceling this week Wednesday and Thursday's episode.
Yes.
Because
fuck this show, dude.
I know it sucks, guys. I know it sucks, but trust me, I need to do this because there are personal projects.
Islamophobia is accepted racism. Anti-Semitism is not accepted racism. I mean, anti-Semitism is it's not accepted racism, and it's also used to justify. It's used as a justification for American imperialism as well. So, And a justification for American fascism with this new Trump administration.
Videos that I need, that demand my attention, that need to be finished for the main channel. Very, very relevant, very highly anticipated. So I can't do both. I just can't, you know what I mean? Like, both of them take my full attention, and I need to get in the laboratory and crank out what I need to do. What's so funny about that?
I don't know. I think I shot a booger out of my nose. I just wasn't expecting that from Lena. I don't know.
What did she do?
She threw.
I can't believe Ethan didn't talk about Hasan getting detained. Did he talk about Hasan getting detained at all? I actually can't believe it. All right, I have all of these tabs open. We might as well go over them. So anyway, I was looking at the Trump subreddit because I wanted to draw a comparison between the Trump subreddit and this H3H3 subreddit. Hasan blames the Ethan Kleins for working with the government to detain Hasan. It seems like Jews control the government has been rebranded for the left. Like, absolutely insane posting here. Hasan's talking about drama slop YouTubers. The idea that he thinks Jews control the government is absolutely delusional. And they're saying that Hasan is doing an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Hasan faces... I wanted to watch this conversation too. Hasan faces Jewish students at the University of Chicago. Is bro about to rap? He's trying embarrassingly hard to make people 20 years younger than him think he's cool. Isn't he like 35? 34? I think 14? Okay, whatever. Telling a bunch of Jewish students what Judaism is about is crazy. Yeah, who gives a fuck? I love that when CPS is called on the Kleins, it's not anyone's fault, but Ethan's for oversharing. But when Hasan gets detained for being a well-documented propagandist for terrorism, it's Ethan's fault. Amazing. So I love this because it's like, so to criticize Hasan, you're saying that Ethan is responsible for the CPS being called. I also love this because they think that Ethan getting CPS called on his children is analogous to Hasan being illegally detained by a fascist regime. They're like, Hasan's getting detained for his freedom of speech. But why is he complaining? Ethan had CPS being called on his kids. Ethan had a government worker come over to make sure his kids are okay. Yeah, that's a great comparison. Okay, more. Hasan says, okay, this is so stupid I wasn't going to cover it, but then Ethan Klein put it on his fucking Instagram stories. Hasan says fucking Lebanese about AB and Lena. Where's the same outrage about Ethan's fucking Arabs clip? Even his fan clip channels cut out fucking. Like, to make it clear, and neither of the fucking clips matter, I'm pointing out how laughable it is to make such an enormous deal out of Ethan's comment. Is all snarkers have been talking about since the debate. To make it clear, these clips are absolutely not the same. When Ethan said it, he was accurately describing historical events. He said fucking for emphasis after Hasan played dumb about what happened in history. When Hasan does it, he is using it to personally attack crew members. Oh my god, dude, he just said it as like an interjection word. He just said it as a placeholder word while he completed his thought. Let's play this. Oh my god, this is like so tiring. These people are honestly gone.
Ethan loves talking about tokens. He won't even let his fucking Lebanese employees say shit. Fucking Lebanese employees. Fucking Lebanese. Ethan loves talking about tokens. He won't even let.
Like, look at this. Look at this. If he says he won't even let, like, let's just remove the term fucking. If Ethan said the Arabs pogromed the Jews, that's still racist. Hasan saying Ethan won't let his Lebanese employees talk, that's not racist. Do you see the difference? Why am I doing this? Like, the reason that I'm going over all of this shit is so that I don't have to keep doing this, because I think this community is insane, and I don't know if it's worth covering it anymore. You were detained by ICE. Let's see the transcript. Let's compare that to a post in the Donald Trump subreddit. ICE at work in Worcester, Massachusetts. Thank you, President Trump. In America, you can't arrest your political opponents. Am I missing something here? Didn't they try to arrest Trump for breaking the law? Oh, but Hasan got detained by ICE. Says America deserves 9/11, is vehemently anti-American, is famously pro-Houthi and Hezbollah. Why did Ethan and the Jews work with the TSA to do this? First of all, it wasn't the TSA, it was Trump's Gestapo. Secondly, what the fuck is this shit? He's anti-American? And so then he should get detained by TSA? What the actual fuck, dude? Like, look. This needs to happen to take our country back and purge it of illegal aliens. In America, you can't arrest your political opponents. Like, dude, it's literally indistinguishable from a Republican post. These people are just like These people are just pro-fascism. Like, Ethan has conditioned his audience to be pro-fascism. Or the people that were like, fuck that, I'm not going to be fascist anymore, have been replaced by Destiny fans and Lonerbox fans and like Mudahar that all jumped onto this bandwagon and are like, oh my god, Ethan's saying cool things about Asmongold. Wow, Hasan got detained. Wow, this is so fucking awesome. Like, fuck this. This is so disgusting. His Crowder is showing you weren't raped. Bro, like, I can't say this enough. Ethan Klein and Hila Klein are mods on this subreddit. They determine who gets banned and who doesn't get banned. Everything on the subreddit is co-signed by them. And this is the shit that they're doing. You weren't raped, change my mind. Like, what the fuck? Why is this happening on their subreddit? I didn't search hard for these. These are just like in the top 20 posts. It's just a complete fucking circle jerk over Hasan and like relishing in any kind of hindrance to him at all. It's fucking insane. Look at this. Once again, this is certainly a take. The streamers that criticize Hasan are in fact fascist collaborators, partners, if you will. So basically saying, people that do fascist propaganda are collaborators with the fascists in government. And they say, this is certainly a take. These people need to go outside and get some fresh air. Calling the TSA employees hate watchers is hilarious. It's not the TSA hate watchers, dude. God, I swear this dude used to have a brain. What the fuck happened to the Majority Report? It's the Majority Report, Sam Cedar. Imagine actually believing slop tubers are the problem and not Hasan guzzling Houthi and Hamas propaganda on stream. Oh my god, dude. Like, these fucking people are the ones that got a sitting Congress rep to call for Hasan to get banned off of Twitch. They're the ones that got the ADL to attack Hasan and attack Frogan and get them banned off of Twitch. What the fuck are you talking about? Of course it's the slop YouTubers that are doing this. They're the ones that get articles written about Hasan. The people writing articles for like the Washington Post aren't watching Hasan streams. It's dedicated hate watchers in like the Destiny and Ethan Klein, like Mudahar communities are doing. Oh my god, dude. Anyway. Like China owning our land, would the Muslim community want / let a Western culture build on this land? Is this the Ethan Klein subreddit or the Trump subreddit? Muslims are a problem. Look at what look at what Europe has become. Trump is right. Like, I just want to, maybe I should do a fucking, is this from the Ethan Klein subreddit or the Trump subreddit? Maybe I should make that a game and have people play it. That would actually be pretty funny. ICE at work in Worcester, Massachusetts. Thank you, President Trump. I mean, come on, dude. This is indistinguishable from people like, Hasan watched Houthi propaganda and he got detained. He deserves it. In America, you can't arrest your political opponents. Why not? Oh, Hasan watched propaganda. He should be arrested. Look at this fucking idiot. Oh boy. Sloptubers keep trying to cancel me. The biggest politics streamer on Twitch openly endorses indefensible terrorist groups, and Muda called him out. Yeah, Mudahar, the fucking defender of the innocents. He's so fucking stupid. when he's talking to Ethan Klein, he's like, Hasan said that I should have just been talking about the genocide since October 7th, but the joke's on him. I've been aware of the genocide happening for the last 20 years, and I haven't said a single thing. It's like, holy shit, dude, Mudahar's actually a moron. Like, oh my god. Guys, this is ridiculous. This is just so ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous. Like, remind time, baby. Let's not forget when Hasan himself said the guy was a Houthi. So what? He should be detained? What the fuck are we doing here? Why is Ethan Klein not going on his stream and being like, this is completely indefensible what happened to Hasan? I disagree with what he says, but but freedom of speech is a paramount right in this country. The fact that this is being infringed upon is insanely scary, and people should not be supporting this. Why is Ethan Klein not coming out and saying that shit, bro? What the fuck is going on? His silence is an endorsement of this. And so, of course, when Hasan says that it's the reason, like, Ethan Klein is part of the reason why he's getting detained and questioned on the same exact shit Ethan's been firing, like, grilling him over. Ethan keeps his mouth shut because he agrees with Hasan. He's like, I am the reason why, and I do support ICE detaining you. Fuck you. You're an anti-Semitic, anti-American piece of shit. You should be murdered. Like, you should be executed. That's the position that Ethan Klein has, or at least removed from the internet. Like, fuck this shit, dude. It's literally a fascist takeover, and you have a massively liberal show taking a complete right-wing conservative fascist turn in lockstep with this government in order to shut down people's freedom of speech, to protest against a genocide. It's not even criticizing Trump. It's not even just criticizing a fascist dictator like Trump. It's protesting against a genocide, and that's get too far for Ethan. I'm so fucking done with this. I'm so done with it. Like, fuck this guy. Anyway, so Ethan, complete radio silence. He didn't talk about being detained by ICE at all, unless I missed a clip of it. Ethan has complete radio silence. He's canceling his next show. He's canceling the show after that. So he's not going to say shit about any of this, of Hasan getting detained. And meanwhile, his chat is going on Reddit and posting shit being like, yeah, Hasan deserves to get detained. Insane. This show is just, it literally is just like fascist collaboration. Let me just look this up. All right. Control F to detained. They didn't say detained a single time. Yeah. Okay. Oh man. All right, guys. I'm gonna call it. Leaked button footage. He's trying to make another content nuke. A second nuke has been launched. Good. I mean, good for him. He needs money. His clothing brand is getting disintegrated due to tariffs. So, and maybe he can squeeze out another like 1.5 million views on his channel. Anyway, guys, I am going to head off. Thank you so much for listening to my babble, listening to me drone on and on. I don't know, guys. This Ethan Klein shit is like getting so fucking old. I feel like people know Ethan's a piece of shit. He's a fascist collaborator. Maybe I'll still cover him for a little bit, but I need to talk about other shit. It was fun talking about John Fetterman and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for participating in chat. And consider subscribing, consider liking the stream, commenting down below, and everyone have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you later. Oh, Michael with the five €5 right at the end. All right, see ya.